Good evening, everyone. Fuck the Empire. What an intro. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're all keeping well. I am Chris, and welcome in once again to the channel, JX Editor. That means it's Star Wars time, doesn't it? That's when I light the beacons and summon you to the channel once again when it's something Star Wars related. But it'll be really great to get your input on this one. And we actually covered Andor Series 1. I actually was shocked how many years ago it was now. Kind of puts things into perspective a little bit. But we are gearing up for Season 2 next week. The Season 2 premiere, I believe for us in the UK anyway, will be on Wednesday next week. And they're delightfully releasing them in 3-episode chunks, which is going to make it very, very difficult to get them all done in a day. But we can't complain because that was one of
our... asked for this.
Yeah, but like we directly asked for this. And there's video evidence of that probably back in like episode 4 or 5 of season 1. I don't know. So we're getting 3-episode arcs, which I think is probably the best way to do it. But it is going to make it a little bit
in the finale episode.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But we're going to see those full arcs all in one day, and I think that's definitely the best way to do it. That was kind of one of my criticisms about season 1. So this live stream, we're going to be talking about season 1. We have rewatched it, and I'm so glad that I did a rewatch because I definitely needed to catch up on a lot of the characters and sort of where we leave the characters for going into season 2. So we're going to be chatting about that, if our opinions have changed, if opinions have stayed the same. Maybe we even like this show even more than we did when we first watched it. But before we do that, there has been...
You listed that. That's changed.
Yes.
You said our opinions are changed, or if they stay the same, or if we like it more. That's that's half of the first thing.
I'm feeling a word count. I'm feeling a word count. It's fine. It's been a very, very long day. It's been a very long day for Star Wars as well. I actually didn't even realize we were timing this on the day of Star Wars Celebration. I have completely lost the plot of when Star Wars Celebration happens and mostly lost interest in it, to be honest. I think this is just day 1 of it today, so we might get some more announcements tomorrow and Sunday, I expect. But we got about 3 announcements to go through today. Honestly, I thought this was a really weak opener for Star Wars Celebration. It really feels like they're just scraping the bottom of that barrel. But I'm going to hand over to you now. So we're going to go through each of these because you'll probably be able to offer more insight. You've seen stuff like Clone Wars and Rebels in full, so you'll probably know more about what's happening with all of these. The first announcement we got was Star Wars Starfighter, which is the Ryan Gosling starring in, Sean Levy directing. It seems like a no-brainer for Disney. He recently directed Deadpool and Wolverine, made the company a shit ton of money. So they were probably like, get that guy again, and let's see if he can rake in $1 billion with this one. We've got no information to go on in terms of story or anything. We have a title, a star, and a director. That's it. We do have a release date as well. Apparently, this is coming to theaters May the 28th, 2027. Now, I was looking at Facebook.
It's not based off of the game.
I did wonder that. Yeah, because when I was Googling, I kept getting pictures of the video game. I was like, oh, yeah, that was a thing, wasn't it? I don't think it will be. This feels like this is a progression. Carl. Oh, hang on. Comments. There we go. Carl, evening, guys.
Good to be back.
You said that so facetiously. Hopefully it's a true statement.
No, that's just my radio voice.
Oh, okay. Cool. I think this is sort of what Rogue Squadron has developed into. The Patty Jenkins movie that was meant to be a thing and then was cancelled and shit canned last minute. I feel like this is just sort of like a carryover from that. But forgive me for not leaping for joy about the announcement of this, because how many Star Wars films have been announced by Kathleen Kennedy quite publicly on the stage? We've had teaser trailers for some that have never seen the light of day and have been shit canned, including but not limited to the Omi Chebe Chinoy Ray film, which was meant to be coming out 2026, which things have gone very, very quiet on that now. You had the Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron movie, which we had a trailer for, a teaser trailer. That's been shit canned. Apparently we had
I feel the same about that as I feel about Starfighter, because it's the same note in my brain. Like, I mean, some people, they care a lot more about Rogue Squadron. This is more general. But, yeah, I mean, I don't even really care about... I didn't even really care for the pod racing scene. Like, I just don't do the vehicles.
Yeah, Carl says it takes place after episode 9 and it's only story, apparently. only one story. I mean,
I'm
not sure.
I thought maybe only was meant to be one.
Yeah, like it's a one and done movie, which I would expect. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, you had the Ryan Johnson trilogy, which has been talked about since Episode 8 was released. Will never see the light of day, and I've always said that, and I stand by that. There's the Simon Kinberg Dawn of the Jedi film, which was
Depends when Kennedy
announced.
can it depends when Kennedy retires at this
Well, I
point.
mean, she did address that, and she
Yeah, it
basically
does. Yeah, she did.
because every other month there's a rumor Kathleen Kennedy is set to leave, and there was quite a candid interview with her where she got a little bit uppity about it when someone asked her that directly, and she was like, "No, everything's fine. We're not, everything's all good here, fine, thank you. How are you?" That kind of thing. She was like, "No, I'm not leaving. I'm going to basically be here until I die." Which is very unfortunate to hear. But I think she reaffirmed that today at Star Wars Celebration. She essentially recreated the scene from Wolf of Wall Street, the "I'm not fucking leaving," where she just like grabbed the microphone. So yeah, it's nice to know that she's gonna just chart a course and steer Star Wars in such a wonderful, great direction. But yeah, there's Dawn of the Jedi, which was announced. I think it was announced last year. We've heard nothing on that.
Seemingly teased in.
Oh, say that again. Sorry, I think you cut out there.
I said seemingly teased in Andor.
What, Dawn of the Jedi? Really?
Yeah. The
Uh,
villains from the original Dawn of the Jedi were mentioned in Andor, which was close enough to the announcement that I'm like, are they gearing us up?
maybe I don't know. They always seem to just like pull like cherry
No, no,
pick
no, no. Say
random
that.
things,
Say
don't
that
they?
word again. What was that you just said?
Maybe. What
Eh.
else? There was back in Game of Thrones times. Remember when DB, is it DB Weiss or whatever, that DB and Weiss, whatever their names are?
Yeah, it's
They
D&D.
they were going to get a trilogy, so that's why people would argue that they rushed the ending of Game of Thrones to get out of there so that they could get Star Wars.
That's
That was
definitely what
cancelled.
happened.
There was Kevin
I mean,
Feige.
I'm not an informed opinion, but like that's almost definitely what happened.
Yeah. Kevin
Like,
Feige was meant to be getting a
I
trilogy
don't
as
know, I
well.
wasn't there.
So all of these films that just seem to be announced every Star Wars celebration, every so often, and I'm just not going to get hyped for anything now. I'm not going to get hyped because 99% of them have been shit. But also, you can't just keep announcing stuff and not deliver on anything. To put things in perspective, the next film that's coming out, allegedly, is next year, Mandalorian and Grogu, which we did get a trailer for. So I'm assuming that will see the light of day. The last Star Wars film we got on the big screen was 2019. It was 2019, I think, wasn't it? The Rise of Skywalker. Is that when that came out? It's a long fucking time. Especially when they were cranking them out and they wanted to make it like Marvel, didn't they? Bring out a film every year. It just reeks of not having a clue where things are going. And after all that time, you come back with The Mandalorian and Grogu, which might be the most uninspired name for a film. How long do you think it took them to come up with that before they adjourned to go for lunch or whatever at that boardroom meeting?
Honestly, I I think it's going to be long. It would be longer than you think, and I think it's shameful how long that meeting probably was.
Right? Yeah, there was probably
Like, I'm on the exact opposite. You're like, it's so simple. It must have been quick. And I was like, no, 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 no. That decision took days.
yeah, yeah, there was probably croissants, there were probably bagels, there was coffee on tap, the blah, 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 and then, yeah, that's the title.
Now, when you say coffee on tap, do you mean one of those big metal things with the spout, or do you mean like a box with the spout that you get at like Dunkin's?
I'm talking like Selena Kyle walking into the boardroom meeting in Batman Returns and filling everyone's coffee cup.
Okay,
It's
okay,
the
okay.
studio execs, it's the studio heads, it's
Fair enough. Fair enough.
it's the toffs in the suits, essentially. Carl says, if Kathleen Kennedy told me the sky was blue, I'd still go outside and check. Don't believe a word that comes out of her mouth. Rules to live by. Well, we're talking about Mandalorian and Grogu now. This was probably the biggest announcement, i.e., we got a trailer for it. Couldn't really find a
I'm
good
more
picture of
excited
it.
about the other thing.
This is one of the screen grabs from it. This is probably like a leaked image from the actual trailer. The trailer was leaked onto random, probably a good few Facebook pages. I just happened to see it earlier and I linked it to you. What were your
Remember
thoughts
when we thought he
based?
was going to be in Ahsoka?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're like, oh, they're teasing him because he's going to be in Ahsoka, and they're just testing this. No, he's gonna. I guess it's going to be for that.
Hmm.
But I guess it's got to be like CGI budget.
Maybe they're just like refining the inner workings of it. I know that this was probably unsurprisingly, this was meant to be season 4, and like things just changed in the production. It was like, okay, you're not making a season 4 now. Like we're turning this season 4 into a movie. So
Is that
yeah.
confirmed?
I believe I've read that somewhere. Yeah, it was just they were
I
gearing up
mean,
to
I've
make
read that
season
Kathleen
4.
Kennedy was going to retire.
I've heard that many times as well. But somehow Kathleen Kennedy returned. She's going to
Well,
have
she didn't
cloned
go
herself.
anywhere.
She's going to have cloned herself in all these bacta tanks. I just want to be like Luke Skywalker in Dark Empire and just smash all of the tanks. Right, Mandalorian and Grogu.
Dark
You saw the
Empire
trailer.
sucks.
You saw the trailer. What did you think of it?
Oh, get this. Okay, get this. They fought stormtroopers in a hallway.
Are you tired of that hallway shot yet? Because I sure as hell am by this point. So let's run through this real quick. How many hallway shots have we had? So Vader was the first one in Rogue One.
Wait. Okay, wait. Are we talking about fighting stormtroopers in like a corridor, or are we talking about those hallway fights like with Maul and Vader and Luke?
Like the same shot where it's like center stage, usually a bit of fog machine, a bit of dry ice happening, and just wading through people because people think it looks cool. I think Vader at the end of Rogue One was the first one to do that. Then you had Luke at the end of Mando season 2, where it was almost shot for shot. Then I think they did Darth Maul in Clone Wars season 7. There was a moment where he has
but
like
he's
a
just using the
rampage.
Force and pieces of the ship.
Yeah, so I'm going to count that one as another corridor shot. Have we had any more since then? I feel like we have.
I know I want to add one to episode 9, but I don't think there's been another one.
Mm-hmm. Or you're talking about when Finn and Poe are running towards the camera and shooting all the stormtroopers? Are you talking about that bit from episode 9?
No.
Which
I'm not
bit?
spoiling things.
Oh, I thought you meant in the actual episode 9, you fool.
I
You
just said I want to add one to episode 9.
Sorry. Okay. I thought you meant add one to the total that we were going through. And then we've got this one. Honestly, most of the trailer...
No, that would be adding one from episode 9.
The trailer, like the opening of this, it's Mando coming in and just gunning down stormtroopers left, right, and center in sort of one unbroken take. It feels very John Wick. It feels like they're trying so hard to be John Wick. He's chaining all these combos together, using all of his gadgets. He's got his flamethrower. He's no scoping people. He's shooting shit from the ceiling, which comes down and crashes down on someone. And you just hear all the fans just like going, woo, yeah, like clapping like sea lions. I'm like, this is all it takes. This is what Star Wars is now. This is all it takes. You just need Mando shooting at stormtroopers and people lose their fucking minds. The trailer continues on and it looks like there's a convoy of AT-ATs, AT-ATs. Did we ever settle that debate, what we call them? I go AT-AT.
I say AT-AT.
Okay, there we go. Best of both worlds.
It passes
then.
the get to the test.
Oh, so you don't say the ATST, do you? You say the ATST.
No. That's a perfectly fair point. But the thing is, in an actual combat scenario, you got to yell "Get to the AT-AT." You're getting shot. Get to the AT-AT. And you know why you don't need to worry about that with the AT-ST?
Why?
AT-ST is not a troop carrier. You don't need to get to the AT-ST.
That's true. It's true. They were clever. They were thinking about the names ahead of time. The camera pulls out, and there's a convoy of like 3 or so AT-ATs, AT-ATs, scaling this snowy mountain.
AT-AT walkers.
Yeah, right. And it blows up, and it careens down the side of the mountain. Then we get some quick flashes. We get the one that shows is his name Zeb, this fucking guy on the right.
Yes.
Sigourney Weaver's
in the original. In the original Star Wars, like in the Star Wars, that was Chewbacca.
Yeah, it was concept art for him. That's right.
Which is sort of referenced in the first or second episode of Rebels when they, you know how, in one episode of Kenobi and in one episode of the main movies, and in like 2 or 3 episodes of Clone Wars, and then in every other fucking episode of Rebels, they disguise themselves as stormtroopers and hide in there.
Mm-hmm.
So they established that pretty early in Rebels, because in the second episode they're bringing in him in chains to a bunch of Wookiee prisoners, and they're like, "What's this?" They're like, "You've never seen the legendary hairless Wookiee before?" And Zeb just goes, "Ah!" And then he punches him.
That sounds like it would be a real like sweet reference at first, but then they had to go that just a little step too far with it, didn't they?
Yeah.
In Filoni,
You've
we
never
trust,
seen the
right?
hairless Wookiee?
Sigourney Weaver's in the movie as a rogue squadron pilot, whatever they are, New Republic pilot. Remember, she was in Alien and Aliens and Galaxy Quest. Now she can add now she can add Star Wars to the list.
Paul.
Yes, all the Alien movies. Yeah. So she's in the movie. I'm like, okay. Baby Yoda, sorry, Grogu, is just being Grogu. He's making cutesy Googa Gaga noises. He's using the Force. Some dumb comedy, which the audience seemed to love. The audience were whooping and hollering every single time Baby Yoda is there. I'm so glad I'm not there, because it's such a room full of fucking normies. Like, I would hate that. It feels like what the Minecraft movie would be now. Just this raucous, horrible, obnoxious viewing experience. I'm like, this is all it takes. You just need Baby Yoda making goo goo baby noises, and you need Mando shooting stormtroopers in the face. That apparently is all you need in Star Wars now to get people on board. And I'm sorry, but the whole cutesy Grogu shit, that ran its course at the end of season 2 for me.
That was always like, that's always been a crowd. Like, the Filoni files have always.
That sounds like some kind of TV show, doesn't it?
The Filoni files. A certain fan base of a Star Wars YouTuber didn't just come from nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you have a theory about who I'm talking about.
Yeah, so that's honestly, that's all we can say on the Mando and Grogu show. Apparently, we do have a release date though. It's scheduled for May 22nd next year. So get hype, everyone. Oh, also, Road to the Hutt. There's been like a little screen grab released of him. CGI Jabba the Hutt's son. Yeah, and he's like built, he's ripped to shit, and he's in an arena kind of cheering on the crowd. It looks so CGI and fakey fake.
That is what Hutts are supposed to look like. Jabba is, well, the crime lords are the odd men, are the odd ones out when they get like fat like that.
Do you remember when I think also, it was for the Boba Fett
originally
movie?
They're not slugs.
No, it's a fat Scottish guy.
They're snakes.
Oh, really?
Original Return of the Jedi novelization.
Oh, okay.
He's just a fat snake, and it's just like, oh, because he's a not trustworthy gangster crime lord. I get it.
But yeah, way to bring that gem of a storyline back. Remember the very, very popular 2008 Clone Wars movie, where it's about Stinky the Hutt and rescuing him? Yeah, let's bring that back for our Mandalorian and Grogu movie, our first Star Wars feature film since 2019. We're going to bring him back in there. And apparently he's got a voice actor, a human voice actor. I don't think it's going to be like a ho and speaking in Huttese. I think he's going to have an actual voice, which, don't at me, I know that's a thing in Clone Wars, and I thought it was fucking stupid in Clone Wars when you have that.
I thought it was stupid in Clone Wars too, not because the fact that he was speaking English, just how he sounded, just who he was as a Hutt, as a person.
It's weird for me when Rhodians speak English.
It's so hot on my skin. No, look, the way I think about it like this, Chris. You have heard a Rhodian speak. You have heard a Hutt speak. They are creating sounds that exist in English. They're just putting them in a different order. They are capable of learning English.
I just feel like with a Rhodian, I don't feel like they've got the mouth movement that is needed for a human to get.
Sonjikale, Warikantik, Makichisa, Jaba, Waninchikoska, Mushani, Nachengi, Tengoroska. I heard a lot of Earth sounds in there.
Maybe Sai Snootles spoke as well. Sai Snootles
she did.
Sai Snootles
she kills that gay Hutt.
Yeah, oh, she
Zero.
does. Yeah, she's a Southern
Yeah.
Belle as well, apparently. Sice Noodles.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened. No Jogan fruit that episode, strangely enough.
There was Mama the Hut as well, wasn't there? I think she was like a
That
Cajun
was that
lady.
episode. That was that fucking episode. And this episode was in like season 3 or 4, but it was the sequel to an episode in season 1 or 2.
Hmm.
It was
I
whichever episode introduced Cad Bane.
I just know that we're going to get some Thor
Just
Ragnarok Colosseum shit. Like he's going to do like a body slam from the top rope or something, and it's going to be CGI and awful. I think
oh, that's
when
gotta
they
be
were going to
Ultimate
do the
Ragnarok.
when they were going to do the Boba Fett movie before it was shit canned and sort of repurposed into Mandalorian, I remember hearing a rumor somewhere that they were building like a shit ton of Huttese puppets, and we were going to see like a whole bunch of them, like the whole gang, the whole family. Now that's never really materialized until we had Book of Boba Fett, and you have the two Hutts there, but they were CGI and not all that great CGI either. It looks like we're doing the same with this one, so we're running with the special edition Jabba now, apparently. And yeah, it's a far cry away from
Yes.
Return of the Jedi. The last thing I wanted to talk about, because we do need to get to Andor, pretty lickety split actually, looking at the time, is we've got. Do you like Darth Maul? Because we're going to get more of him. So Star Wars Maul Edgelord, Shadow Lord is what it's going to be called. And we don't have a massive amount of information to
I
go.
see what you did there.
We do know that it's going to be animated because they're too chicken shit to do a live action Darth Maul series. It's going to have Sam Witwer returning once again to supply the animated voice. And we do have a bit of a story synopsis. So apparently a trailer was shown to people in attendance. I haven't seen this trailer. I've only seen that poster. Oh, has it gone up, the trailer?
No.
Is that?
I
Oh,
just
sorry.
have it's on one of the servers I'm on.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen this yet, so you've probably got more to go on. Apparently, it reveals that it's going to focus on Maul confronting the Inquisitor Marek. You might want to take that down because I don't know if we're going to get. Is that if that video is playing? Yeah, if it's just a picture, you should be fine.
No, it's not a video playing. It's one screen. It's one frame.
Oh, okay.
And it's also, yeah, it is a red Twi'lek that Maul finds, a female red Twi'lek who's associated with Maul.
Yeah.
I wonder who it will be.
Well, this leads me on to the rest of the synopsis. So it's revealed the series is going to entail Maul confronting the Inquisitor Marek, who you mentioned is the green fart cloud suit of armor Black Knight character from the Ahsoka series. That's such a memorable character he was. And taking on a new apprentice whom he believed would help him in the quest for vengeance after he received the Force vision. Well, when I read that, because you didn't tell me it was what's the name? I've already forgotten her name. What's her name? Sorry. The Darth Maul Talon. There we go. I did think it could be her because I was thinking, well, if it's going to be an apprentice, who's it going to be? And it feels like they are poaching some of the original sequel trilogy ideas that George Lucas had, where he was going to have Darth Maul and Darth Talon be the two big bad guys before it all got reworked. So Filoni poaching some ideas there, I would imagine.
Maul and Talon have been associated together for so long, like not just with the Lucas thing. No, I of course you can see why, but it's really annoying knowing that Maul Maul has been dead like 4 times before Darth Talon is born.
Yeah, because she's from like not quite the old Republic, but she's like hundreds of years before.
No, she's from 100 years after.
She's
from 100 years after. She's from Darth Krayt's Rule of 1.
Oh wow, okay.
Which is after it's after the Empire. The Sith are disconnected from the Empire. They join forces a little bit, then they turn on each other. And the Empire is like, well, wait a second. So why is it the Fel Empire, when Jagged Fel stopped being in charge of the Empire at the end of Fate of the Jedi? We'll never know, because reasons.
Well, you mentioned that you would have liked this series more if it had, because there was a story arc apparently, wasn't there, that was intended to be in one of the series of Clone Wars, but it was probably between the cancellations, and I don't think it ever saw the light of day as a comic book, because I know they did like a novelization.
It did see the light of day as a comic book. It's in fact it's on YouTube as a fairly well produced fan motion comic.
Hmm.
But yeah, the actual it's Clone Wars episode. I mean, I've seen again more fan productions. In fact, using audio from that motion comic, I've seen somebody make the first issue out of Lego. Somebody else is doing regular animation, but that's on hold, but or not on hold, but that's hasn't been released. We're just it's this is like how the season 6 of the Clone Wars is referred to as the lost episodes.
Hmm.
Well, they're not lost. They're in season 6. This is the lost episode. Like
Well,
even the Crystal Crisis on Utapau is less lost than this.
well, as is currently been laid out in Maul's story, I mean, I'm just of like he died at the end of Phantom Menace. Like, I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Like, I know that some people would argue they did really good things with Maul's character in the animated stuff.
Oh
I'm
yeah, no, I
still
don't
it,
love the idea of bringing back a character like from death like that.
especially
But
from that. Yeah, yeah.
there's a right. No, I don't even care about that. There's a right way to do it, and I would say Maul is possibly a textbook example of how to do it right if you're gonna do it.
Hmm.
Because what does his death bring to the story it was in? What does bringing him back take away from that? And I think with Maul, you'll find the answer is none and nothing.
Yeah, it's really in everything outside of the film itself where even stuff in the Plagueis novel that I read, I really like some of the stuff that they did with Maul there, where we get a little bit of his past, which I know that you've mentioned is contradictory with some of the stuff that we get in Clone Wars. So it's this
in that
weird sort
in
of.
that in that arc actually.
Mhm.
Because
But this
the
this
woman that gives Maul away is in the book is Talzin's sister,
mhm.
but it's revealed in Son of Dathomir that Maul is Talzin's son.
Yeah.
Also, can
But
I post the link to that motion comic in the chat?
yeah, sure you can. Yeah. I think people will want to check that
I
out.
just did.
So it feels like
Let's see if
there's
it's allowed to go.
two. It feels like there's two story points that
Probably not.
really need to get filled in if we're looking at the overall story of Maul within the existing canon at the moment. One of those is that missing arc, which has never been touched on sort of around the Clone Wars era, and the other time is his incredibly memorable cameo at the end of Solo, a Star Wars story, where we have Kira. What was her name? Kira. Um, Amelia Clark, and he ignites his
Her name
lightsaber.
is
Yeah, there you go.
Kira.
You and I will be working together very closely. And it's like, oh yeah, we never tied up that gem of a
Did you figure
storyline,
out
did
the
we?
reason I actually I think it's in comics.
Oh, is it?
Did you see did you understand the reason I flicked that lighter on? Because
Because
I
he's
don't.
evil. Because he's an evil bad guy. You have to do it. It comes with the territory. So yeah, there we go. It feels like it's a hodgepodge of different
Attack
ideas.
the idea.
It feels like it's going to be filling in some of the gaps of some of the story things because they were going to do a solo trilogy. Again, that never happened because
I
it
don't
was
think they were. Like, I don't think that was
they
ever
were
a thing.
gearing up. The reason they didn't is because it was the first Star Wars film to be a critical bomb and financial
No,
loss at the
no,
box
no. Like,
office.
I don't think that was in the cards. I think the sequel to Solo was going to be the Boba Fett movie.
Or a TV show or something, maybe. Yeah.
Like the follow up to that Maul thing with Kira. I think Kira and Maul, like Han's role in that story, was over. I think we would have seen more of that in the Boba Fett movie.
I thought they said they were going to do a trilogy at the time. Oh,
I
maybe I'm
I
misremembering
did
that.
not. I remember people suggesting it, but I do not remember that being an actual like thing.
Hmm. But it's all shotgunned all over the place at the moment, isn't it? So hey, if you like your Darth Maul, he's getting a series. It's coming out next year. We could probably do well. We have almost done an entire live stream on that, but we need to remember why we're here. God damn it! I want to talk about some good Star Wars, and we've got Star
I was on
Wars
the road today, and this guy cut me off.
Andor Series 1. We have Season 2 coming out next week, which I'm actually really looking forward to. And to say that about a Star Wars project since circa 2015, it's a nice feeling to actually be looking forward to something Star Wars related. But we did a rewatch of this this week in preparation for this live stream and indeed for Season 2 next week. let's just sort of cast our minds back to when this show first arrived and we got those first 3 episodes. I think they released the first 3, didn't they, initially?
Yeah.
What did you, as you were going through the series, if you cast your mind back, what did you think of the series? And when you finished it all off, what did you think of Andor's place in the greater Star Wars canon?
So watching the first few episodes, I was kind of reminded why it was important that those 3 episodes were released at the same time, because I did watch the first one and then have to do something else. And I gotta say, those first 2 episodes, while they're good, they're wholly unsatisfying.
Well, it's a
But
slow
then
burn, isn't it? Yeah.
it's a very slow burn. But then you get the third episode, and you're like, and it's like the opposite of the end of Sherlock.
It's satisfying, and you can say, "Oh, I can see where this was all leading to."
Yeah.
I think
And for
a
those
lot
who
of
don't
people.
know, the BBC show Sherlock ended, and it kind of was so bad it revealed why the whole series was bad to begin with. And it's like, oh, was it always like this? And then you put it on, you're like, oh, this show is terrible.
No, I really like
Like,
series
at
1
least
and
Game of
series
Thrones
2.
gets bad, but like Sherlock stayed what it was, and then what it was turned out to be bad.
No, I think the writing did drop off a cliff towards the end of that. But anyway, that's Sherlock. Let's keep the focus on Andor. I'm completely on board with you because I know that when this started, I was just filled with a sense of dread. I'd been hurt too many times by Disney Star Wars at this point, and I actually think even in the original video description for episode 1 of Andor Series 1, I think I was really dismissive of it before I'd even watched it. I think I put something like, "Oh, here we go again. We're gearing up for another Disney Star Wars show. Let's see how they fuck this one up." And I agree with you. I think a lot of people, it really does seem split down the middle. Some people are really indifferent on this show and just say it's boring usually, or it's just really dry, it's really slow.
No
And
lightsaber.
I can honestly, I can totally see why people would think that. I don't think it opens with that massive, fanfare. It is that slow burn across 3 episodes. I genuinely believe you have to give it those 3 episodes. And if you ain't in by the end of that third one, maybe this show's not for you. The show was intentionally made to be. I think Tony Gilroy even said that he didn't want to just make this a Star Wars show. He wanted to make this like a war series, really showing the seeds of this rebellion, where you could just throw this on, having not seen Star Wars before, and still appreciate it for what it is. That kind of take can be both beneficial and detrimental, I think, by saying that, oh, well, I don't really care. I didn't want the writers to come into this from a fan's perspective of Star Wars because it would compromise it into something completely different and might change their writing process. I wanted them to just address this as a drama, as this sci-fi drama, if you will, about rebellion and war. And I even said on our live streams, I think that you can see that when I watch this, I have to keep reminding myself that this is set in the Star Wars universe because this is so unlike anything, even the main films, even like the George Lucas saga. It feels so devoid from that and removed from that. But controversially, I think this is probably the best written Star Wars thing ever. I'm just going to put a little asterisk next to that in that it doesn't stand the test of time. It doesn't have the quotability or the same kind of like spiritual swashbuckling, like adventure tropes, fantasy tropes that George Lucas is able to bring to his films. But in terms of just quality, like objective writing quality and drama, I think this is the best thing in all of Star Wars, to be honest, for that.
It's up there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've watched you've watched and read a lot more Star Wars content than I have, so
Yeah, so I mean, you saying earlier like, oh, it's not very like other Star Wars. I have this broader definition of what Star Wars can be because I've read basically every genre in Star Wars. I've actually, you know what? There's no slapstick comedy novels. Where's my Jar Jar book?
There's a character in this show called
day.
there's a character in the show called Bix, and sometimes I'd mishear it as Binks. I was like, oh no, he's in this show. Could you imagine him just showing up randomly in this show? Like if that happened, just how
there's only
jarring that
one
would
way
be.
that would end.
Yeah. But so I'm actually I kind of agree with people that don't like this show in that if they say that, oh, it didn't really win me over. I thought the characters were a little bit more. I thought it was mostly dull and it didn't have much life to it. I can see how someone who likes the Star Wars films would feel that way about the show because it
Yeah,
is completely different. But
people
also,
who
I
don't
think
like it generally don't like what it's like what it's doing. Like, it's not they don't think they're not saying this is bad. They're saying it's like me with Skeleton Crew. This is not for me.
Mhm, mhm.
This was not made for me.
But it makes me laugh when you see certain Star Wars channels that champion good quality Star Wars content just turning a nose up at this and just saying, "Oh, well, it doesn't look like Star Wars. It doesn't feel like Star Wars. It's bolts and screws. Like there's no lightsabers in it. There's no Jedi in this, so therefore it's automatically bad." And I'm sorry. I'm like, it doesn't need all of that stuff in there to be good. Just because someone ignites a lightsaber, as we mentioned earlier in
What
like
are you
Solo.
talking about?
Yeah, I don't know which channel am I talking about there. It doesn't make it automatically good. And there are some Star Warsy moments in this. There's some of the most, probably like the most dazzling Star Wars spectacle I've seen. The end of the Eye episode where they're escaping old
Where we
Darnie.
don't see the eye.
We don't see the Eye, no, but that's part of the charm of
Like,
it. But you have space battles in there. You have some TIE fighters. You do have moments in there. You have stormtroopers. You have the things that make it Star Wars, but it's a lot more ground level. It's a lot
the
more.
setting.
Yes. And it just feels a lot more real. And I could understand why someone might not like that if they think, oh, this feels too grounded. This feels too subversive in a way, or that's not the right word. What's the word? Like postmodern, I guess, might be the word for it. It doesn't feel as sort of high.
No, it's not subversive, is it?
It doesn't feel as fantasy or as spiritual as maybe like the original trilogy and moments like that.
It takes
There's
itself very seriously.
there's not
Like
much levity
you
in
like
this. Yeah.
other than the two fishermen from Roast Mutton with the cum net, like what is
That
there
needs
any levity
you
in
need
this?
to explain that because that's an in.
What?
You went through about 4 different in jokes right there between us.
Okay, so you got. I mean, I feel like anyone who's just seen that scene knows what the hell I'm talking about.
No, no,
You
no.
got those
Okay, yeah.
after they break out of prison, they're like, "Hey, let's go steal that ship," and they're running. And there's two big aliens that look like the trolls and that look and sound and act like the trolls from The Hobbit.
Hmm.
And the you know, Cassian and the other guy are running as fast as they can to steal their ship, and they've got these automatic cannons that shoot nets that look like they're made of cum
Yeah. So
at them.
I was an episode behind you, and you just messaged me with that like, wait until you get to the cum net in the next episode. I was like, what are you talking about? And as soon as it happened, I was like, that's what he was talking about there. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Hang on,
exactly.
I'll
Brinsley was
send you a
like,
picture.
sorry, what now? But you've just explained it, so that's all good. Brinsley says, Andor is peak. I agree with you. Honestly, I'm so glad that I did this rewatch. I knew that I liked the series, but my memory was very hazy on it, and I knew that I did need a catch up going into season 2. Upon watching it this second time, I think I enjoyed it even more. Sort of knowing where it was going, being aware of what the tone was, and just reliving some of those like just genuinely incredible writing. It was nominated for a few Emmys actually. I did ask you that earlier if it actually did win any Emmys. It didn't win any, but it was nominated
Yeah,
at least. So
if it won, we would have known.
there are so many strengths about this show. I mean, we could talk about performances, direction, but for me, it's just the writing. I don't know how this show came out of Disney Star Wars. This feels like such an anomaly that something of this quality, the level of writing, even if we're just looking at Disney overall as a company, not just Lucasfilm,
Just look at
if we're
Star Wars overall as a franchise.
well, you could do
It
that, but
peaked twice really early on, and then it's been okay.
it's like we're not getting this quality of writing in any of the other Star Wars projects. We're not getting this writing quality in any of the Marvel projects for a long
Maybe
fucking
something.
time.
I just sent you something that for you to share on the stream.
Oh, where's
I
this?
sent you an image to show the people for context.
Have you sent it me on Facebook? I'm gonna have to like download it
Oh,
and save it and upload it onto onto StreamYard. It's a whole thing.
oh, fine, I'll do it.
I'll do it
Frick
myself.
ass.
But yeah, we're not getting this level of writing in any of the other Star Wars projects or in Marvel or any of the other Disney animated projects. I don't know how this came to be, and I don't know how it genuinely feels like a completely uncompromised product. And it really just felt like, oh, okay, this is the cumnet that you were talking about. Yeah. You mentioned they look like the trolls from The Hobbit. We were both exactly on the same wavelength with that. But also, did you ever watch the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie? Those big, like, lumbering hippo looking things?
Oh, yeah, resistance is futile.
Yes, yeah. There we go. That's what we're referring to.
Yes, that's the Cumnet.
And it genuinely
Cumnet
just
Spoon as a Jedi Master.
it really does feel like Kathleen Kennedy just let Tony Gilroy make what he wanted to make. It feels so devoid of studio notes or meddling, and the tone is just so consistent. Apart from the Cumnet scene, that is a little bit strange. I'll grant you there, but it's so solid. Like the writing, the monologues that the characters have, the drama, the building tension. I hate always saying like, "Oh, I'm on the edge of my seat," but there was so many more scenes that I appreciated on this second viewing, including the first three. Because I was totally with you there. The first three, when we were initially reviewing the series, the first two episodes, I was like, I don't know about this. This is, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not digging it. And it was episode 3 that made me go, okay, I'll give it a go. And then it just got better from there. But honestly, even those first 3 episodes, I really appreciated that slow build, that slow burn this time around.
I remembered something from our previous reviews. I think it was for like episode 6 or episode 5. The first note that I took was, I'm so glad to finally get an episode that doesn't have the previously on say, wouldn't you rather give it all up at once for fighting or for something real or something. I was like, I got so fucking sick of hearing that.
Mm-hmm. Carl says Rogue One is the best Star Wars Disney film. I agree. I completely agree with you there. I am now curious to see what Rogue One would have turned out like, because I know you had Gareth Edwards was director, and I know that he was, I don't know if it was pushed aside. I don't know the inner workings, and you're never going to get any kind of candid behind the scenes stuff anymore on these DVDs or Blu-ray releases or whatnot. But I know that Tony Gilroy was brought in to steady the helm and handle the reshoots, and that is a movie that just feels like it's got studio notes all over it.
Basically, the entire third act.
The end, yeah, and probably the intro
Which
as well with Saw Gerrera. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of Saw Gerrera stuff left on the cutting room floor in that movie. Basically, the entire theatrical trailers that we got, 90% of the footage in there isn't in the final movie.
is the best parts of the movie, the parts everybody remembers, are the parts that were added later.
Yeah, well, I mean, people always go to like the Vader scene, like he Vadered all over that corridor. And I must admit, when I first watched
I mean, not just that. I'm just talking like that whole like battle in the section, like what happened to all the heroes.
I don't know, because I mean, there was some shots from the trailer which I think stuck with people the most. There's the bit where Jin gets to the top of the antenna, and the TIE fighter rises up in front of her. There's that scene.
Yeah, Cassian's dead by then.
There's Krennic on the ground where he's like, you just see his cape flapping. There's the bit where they're running in between the AT-AT walkers, which
see,
I think initially
the footage of Alan Tudyk outside in his mocap suit with Cassian dead next to him.
I think the initial idea was they had to get the plans from one location, and then they had to run across the battlefield to get to the antenna to transmit it, which was at a different location.
That makes sense.
The locations were merged for the final film, I think, just to keep it a bit more
makes
central.
Sense.
And part of me does think, like in Andor Series 2, we're going to get any glimpses of that. Probably not. I've heard that the very final scene of Series 2 is going to lead straight into the opening scene of Rogue One. But I'm like, the opening scene is so. Is it going to be what, Krennic boarding a ship, ready to go and meet?
I'm assuming they're probably referring to Cassian's first scene where he
Oh,
shoots
of
the
course,
guy.
yeah. Sorry, because that's when she's a girl, isn't it? So that would happen. Yeah,
Dumbass.
yeah. I actually can't remember what the first scene
Wait a
is
second.
after
At
that.
this point, would Jin be with Saw?
That's what. Yeah, that's what I'm confused about. That's where the disconnect was happening. Yeah,
It
yeah.
might
She would.
be.
Of course, she would be. Yeah,
Would she?
yeah. This is 5 years before. Oh, no, because she leaves him when she was 16, doesn't she? I think she says in Rogue One.
Wait, so this is on. So wait. Yeah.
This takes
Okay.
place
So
5 years before A New Hope, Rogue One.
this takes. Oh, okay. So this takes place around the same time as Rebels.
Yeah.
This has to take place. This takes place during the first 2 seasons of Rebels, because during season 3, Mon Mothma reveals to the galaxy that she is a rebel.
Mm-hmm. Going back to Andor, I think one thing that my opinion has stayed the same on, and is probably the weakest area for me, if I'm just looking at the series overall, is Andor as a character himself. I don't find
He is
him
as smart as he seems to need to be for the scene.
He's just not a very interesting character, I don't think. When you're surrounded by all these inner workings and the politics and the struggles of, like, Luthen is so well written. The stuff with Mon Mothma is fantastic. Literally all the other supporting characters I don't have a problem with. And even Andy Serkis, who's in the show for just 4 episodes, has way more of an impact on me than Cassian Andor does across all 12 episodes. I don't think he's necessarily bad. I just find him particularly uninteresting. He's like your typical Paragon character, like your default character that you'll play in a video game. I'm not going to go so far as to call him like a Gary Stu.
Wait. Paragon, as in, like, good?
Well, there's moments where he kills people for the greater good, I suppose. There are moments like that, but he's just very beige as a character. It's just kind of nondescript. I feel like I could talk way more about all the other characters than Cassian Andor. Like, he's fine. He's almost like Jack Sparrow-like character in that everything's happening around him, and he's just sort of along for the ride with a lot of this stuff. And I guess by the end of this series, which is why I'm hoping we're going to see way more growth with him in series 2, that's where he's like absolutely 100% on board with the cause, joining Luthen. So it'll be interesting to see where we pick Cassian up in series 2. But that would probably be my biggest negative, I think, as a series overall, is that I don't find the titular character particularly compelling.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also like the backstory stuff, which they initially set up with him. We had a bit of a disagreement with this, but they initially set up that he's there to find his sister. He goes into this this like strip club, essentially. It's very Mass Effect. It's very Blade Runner-esque, the first couple of episodes of this series. And we set up this whole thing that he's looking for his sister, and then that whole plot line just seems to be dropped. And it's resurrected again in episode 4. And we have Marva's character. Is it Merva? Marva? I've actually forgotten. Yeah, Marva. And she just says, "Oh yeah, your sister, forget it. She's dead." And then that's it. We just dropped that plot line through the rest of the series. So it felt like yeah, so you were more okay with that than I was. It felt like we sunk a lot of time into this, and this was going to be his quest
starting off point.
Yeah.
No, it was just his starting off point, because it got him into that club saying, I am looking for, like, everybody in that club who spoke to him knows that he is from that planet, where there is exactly one person alive in the galaxy who is from that planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you can get much more natural with that exposition without him looking for his sister.
It just seems like he takes that information just lying down. Like, she just says, "Oh yeah, give up hope. I know you've been searching for her for like years and years and years." And we get the impression that maybe this is the only time she's told him now that his sister is dead, and just to give up hope. But he does exactly that right there and then. It's just weird to me that
we don't know that he does that. We just know that he then leaves. Like, we don't know that he's given up on his sister. We just know that he has now been told he should give up on his sister. However long that takes him is however long that takes him.
Because I posed the question to you as to whether you think the whole long lost sister thing is going to resurface again in season 2 if they are going to bring that back up.
I think she is Andor's Entwife.
Right. And also to sort of coincide with that as well, I thought the flashbacks were fairly weak, where we see Andor, where he's part of this tribe.
Yeah, there's some parallels between his first time leaving home and his most recent time leaving home.
I like how that was edited at the end of that episode. Yeah. I do like the editing there.
There, but if you removed it, it would be you wouldn't lose anything.
Yeah, it felt like
you would lose the only backstory to his father figure.
It is weird to me how in Rogue One we have the infamous line where he's like, "I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old." I'm like, you were part of an indigenous, non-English speaking tribe, just completely cut off from the rest of the world, apparently, which is why they act so strange when a spaceship crash lands in their jungle, in their woods. He's very tribal. It's almost like the end of Apocalypto, where the Spanish arrive and they're like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, they've been completely cut off from the rest of the world.
Oh yeah, they even got the same paint.
But he's a lot older than 6 in these flashbacks.
Well, this is also, so you know how all the adults on that planet are dead?
Mm-hmm. It's very Lord of the Flies, isn't it?
When that happened.
All the parents died. This is... Wait, am I missing something obvious here?
It was when he was 6 years old.
That's gonna like Revenge of the Sith? Are we talking like that, or like...
No. I'm just saying, like, he's been in this fight when he was 6 years old because the Republic polluted the planet, and basically, their mining operation resulted in the deaths of all the people in the...
Yeah. Right. But it is... I do think it's weird where... Because it didn't seem like he was actively in a fight.
By the way, I'm piecing the... I'm piecing what we know from around when Rogue One came up with the flashbacks.
Right. To me, it's like when he says that, when he delivers that line in Rogue One, it feels like very similar to Jyn Erso. She was indoctrinated into this cause, and she was directly a part of the rebellion, or the seeds of the rebellion at that time. That's what I got from his line in Rogue One. Now it recontextualizes that, and I'm sort of confused.
At all.
Yeah. So honestly,
no, like not just with what we've gotten from Andor. I mean, he's not old enough to have been fighting the Empire since he was 6.
Yeah.
Or he's not young enough to have been fighting the Empire since he was 6.
I mean, it is nice to see.
It was the Republic when he was 6 years old. Is basically.
It is nice to see Marva take him in, and we get glimpses of that. Honestly, how they established how
she kind of roofies him.
A little bit. How often they kept cutting to those flashbacks. I did think we were going to get more of that, and it was going to be this little parallel story that would run alongside it. Kind of similar to like Godfather 2, where you have the 2 storylines going together and maybe
Skywalker,
merge.
A Star Wars story.
Yeah, as it is, I just felt they were kind of superfluous. I think you could probably just edit those out and not really lose out on all too much. I don't think those would probably be my only negatives, because genuinely everything else looks incredible. I know some people are really butthurt that this show got a substantially larger budget than some of the likes of Kenobi. I'm of the like of mind. I don't think you need a massive budget to tell a compelling Kenobi series. Did we get a compelling Kenobi series? Absolutely not. But I don't think budget dictates everything. And a lot of this was shot on location.
I finished that book.
I
finished that Kenobi book. I stand by. If the Kenobi show had been entirely on Tatooine, it would have been fucking boring. That would not have been a good show.
I disagree there. I think you could have still done some really interesting
stuff character-wise. Listen to the book. Just no. You can do great things with it. No. It's a good book. It's an entertaining book. You can do great things with the character. You can do great things character-wise. But you don't need to do those in a visual medium.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
agreed. That's why I don't
better if you don't.
Yeah, that's why I would agree with you there. I don't think we needed any. I don't think we needed that.
We did not need that story told as a show.
Kenobi,
we didn't need it, but if you were gonna do the TV show, yeah, that's probably what you do. There are some things I would definitely take out, like some stabbings.
What about the chick who slaps the stormtrooper in the face? A fully armored stormtrooper.
Oh well, yeah, no. When I do Dark Times, I'm taking out that entire episode. So
thank Christ, thank you.
Like yeah, like Leia gets rescued and then gets captured at the end of that episode. So
that moment's so Austin Powers Goldmember, isn't it, in the show? Where he's just, remember when he's like standing on top of Mini-Me's shoulders and he's wearing like the big overcoat?
Yes,
just reminds me of that. You just got he's got Leia bundled under the jacket.
Yep, that happened. That episode's gone.
Brinsley says, fun fact, Andor Series 1 4K set is the only Star Wars media I own. So I don't have a 4K player. I actually can't remember if this was released on just like regular Blu-ray or if it has only exclusively been released on 4K. I'm holding off on buying it. After rewatching it today, I do want it, but I've been in this situation before.
Steelbook for the whole series.
Yeah, I've been in this situation before where Series 1 is just, perfect. And then it shits the bed with Season 2. So I want to trust in Tony Gilroy, and I want to trust that Disney and Kathleen Kennedy haven't got their fingers in the show and like, hey, we need to add R2 and 3PO as like a completely random cameo in that scene. We need some Vader.
We need Luthen to fight Vader with a lightsaber and then cut his mask in half.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm so worried about, dude, because the viewership for Series 1 wasn't that great. It really didn't get that much viewership in there. There was the whole talk about how it was originally going to be 5 series because it's the 5-year gap leading up to Rogue One, and each series was going to be the next year. Apparently, this was an idea from Tony Gilroy, who said that idea was, quote, physically impossible, even though it was an idea. And then he found a way where he could condense those remaining 4 years into one series of TV, where each 3-episode arc is going to cover each year. I'm still very apprehensive of how that's going to go. And honestly, that's probably my biggest worry for Series 2, is that the narrative for it is going to feel completely disjointed. Yes, we had episode arcs within Series 1, but it was all in a flowing timeline. It's going to be weird just going, and then nothing happened this year, and then skipping a year ahead, and you've got to reorientate yourself as to where we are now, who's winning, are the Rebels winning, is the Empire winning, and you got to do that for each arc. If they can do it well, then I'm open to it, but I don't know. That's my biggest worry for Series 2. It's going to feel very rushed.
I think the fact that the stories, the stories are isolated in those arcs might serve in its benefit as far as like feeling rushed.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not getting one season. You wouldn't necessarily be getting one season in those 3 episodes, rather just the peak of that season.
Yeah. Let's dive back into Series 1 then. So was there either a series of episodes or maybe a character that you appreciated a lot more? Maybe you were more focused on their journey or the writing of that character. Was there any particular one that stood out for you more this rewatch?
Well, I mean, as you can imagine, I was watching Mon Mothma's stuff with vested interest.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as just general arcs are concerned, there's some little things that I noticed that I couldn't even. I should have. I guess I should have taken notes, but honestly, there's just like one thing where something was foreshadowed, where I was like, "Oh, they're gonna do that." I didn't notice that the first time. I think it was something that Bix said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
but
just talking. Go on, sorry.
Go on.
You were talking about Bix. This did stand out to me when I did the original watch of Series 1, but that interrogation scene where the Gestapo come in and there's like the doctor there with the audio device, and she says we recovered the sounds of basically the genocide of an entire species, and we were able to isolate the sounds of the dying children's audio. and they set it up so well. They just build this story about how they found the officers that recovered this audio, and they were basically completely catatonic, and their minds had been scrambled from how horrific and deeply saddening this audio was. We're going to put this audio on you now, and just like how it builds, and the headphones go on, and the silence. So fucking good, because you don't need to hear that, because we couldn't comprehend anything that horrific if we heard it. It just wouldn't get to that level. The fact that it's silence and it allows you to just connect the dots yourself and imagine what that would be like is so much more effective. There's one bit at the end of that scene, though, which I didn't remember when we did our first rewatch, which I don't know how I feel about it. I don't like shots that are reused when it's done in an over Member Berries way. It's actually my favorite camera movement. It's always stood out to me in the original New Hope film. And it's when the interrogation droid comes into Leia's chambers, and then the blast door closes and the camera follows it to the floor and just pans over slightly as the trooper walks. They end that scene in exactly the same way. And I don't know how I feel about that. I would like that to be unique to A New Hope. It might just be Andor, but I feel like there was another Star Wars show that also recreated that same shot. It might have been this one that I'm thinking of.
You're just remembering Andor.
Okay. But yeah, that was quite effective, and I mean, it ends where he gets Bix to safety, so I hope we see her recovery, because she's in an awful state. It reminds me very much of Braveheart at the end, how she's in the jail cell, but she's hearing everything outside. Yeah. And like, freedom and the call to arms and everything. That was pretty cool.
Fuck the Empire.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I think that surfaced maybe a week or so after, didn't it? The finale aired. So you have what did you think to the massive projection of
I love it. I love how
yeah.
she's like, I feel like I can see each of you, but I'm like, I would have thrown a bit in there, like, oh, it was nice of you all to come. I'm surprised you made it. I thought there'd be more of you. Something like that.
Can you give me that feed line again? Can you just say that again at the beginning?
I thought there'd be more of you.
No, before that. I'm glad you all. I'm glad
you all could come, Net.
There we go. I was too slow on the image the first time. I was like, you've got to say it again.
God damn.
I know we've had huge projections and stuff. In Force Awakens, you have Snoke's massive projection for some reason in that. And I know it's been done before, but I don't know when it was like huge Marva, just like it was very Calypso from At World's End for me initially. But no, I appreciated it more this time. The build to that scene is so good as well. You have that funeral procession, and they're all, that something's going to go down, and it all kicks off, and it's such the monologues in this show, and like just the rallying call to arms. It's a toss up.
I like that we get a tally of every threat that Andor that like people face.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the very beginning, we know there are 12 corpos coming to get Cassian.
Mm-hmm.
When they say that we've got 3 teams after him. That means there's 3. We've got 3 teams after him, 4 people per team. Every time he gets into a fight, we know he has to kill 4 people. Later, we get the Aldani heist, and they're like, okay, there's going to be this many people, and then all non-essential personnel are going to be watching the eye. Then after that, I mean, do I even need to say it?
Well, I mean, there's
how many cards on each level?
5. Is it 5? 2?
No, never more than 7.
No, that's it. Well,
or is it never more than 12? Either way, it's way.
Yeah. There's also the scene with Krieger as well, where that's one of my favorite aspects of the show, and it's not just concentrated on the Saw Gerrera and Luthen stuff. I mean, we'll talk about Mon Mothma's character as well, but the moral dilemmas that they all face, and it really is that gray area, and it's
that's an issue I actually have with the show, though.
Oh, really?
We should have no. Specifically, you're not that part in particular, but specifically Krieger. I would have liked for him to, go into the shop at some point, and maybe
did we see
be a character?
Yeah, did we see anything of him really?
We saw his holo at one point when they're like, Bix, is this the person you introduced Cassian Andor to?
Mhm.
And I guess we're to assume she said yes, but actually, are we to assume she said no because they broke her? I
Yeah.
don't know. How many lights do you see?
That's a good point,
That was a
actually.
Star
Yeah,
Trek: The Next Generation reference.
I think, yeah, if we'd have seen more of Krieger and you had this almost triumvirate of Saw Gerrera, Luthen, and Krieger, yeah, that would have been cool. And it would have made his
And
sacrifice a
when
little
they
bit more
throw him out
impactful.
of under the bus, it's like, oh, that's your
Yeah.
friend, guys.
I think you still get the impact of that moment, though. I do think it would have
Yeah,
been strengthened.
definitely you get the impact, but you don't get much of the. But you don't you get an impact, but you don't get the impact you could.
Yeah. I mean, you get the natural sympathy that you have of like soldiers being led to their death, that they could stop it if they wanted to, but they're going to let it. So you
Ever
have
see
that.
the Imitation Game?
Yeah.
And
So you have that natural empathy, I guess, that kicks in. But I do think, yeah, I agree. It would have been strengthened if we'd have seen Krieger be more of a character in the show. But that's one of my favorite moments, is just seeing Luther. I mean, he exemplifies it beautifully in his monologue. What's he say? Like, for
my soul for a sunrise
I'll never see. Yeah, that scene. I mean, that is his character
A
there.
real hero plants the seeds of a tree whose shade they shall never know.
Yeah, beautifully put. And we also see that extend to his day to day as well, and the masks that they all have to wear in order to get through their day to day. And it's really this shadowy, secret organization. The scene, I remember when we watched it the first time, that when we see him, he's putting on this wig and all this jewelry and this finery, and he's doing like all these sort of like camp poses in the mirror and whatnot.
He holds his jacket kind of like Bane.
Yeah, I remember
being Gotham.
I remember being really confused by that the first time we watched it, and then you're like, oh, he's got this entire other persona. This is some like prestige shit going on right here. And I find that stuff fascinating, that he really, it's just, that is him. He gives everything to this cause, even his own identity with this stuff. It's brilliant. I love when Mon Mothma comes into the store and there's all these knowing words, and she's like, "Oh, have you got anything from Aldani?" And he's like, "Oh, let me check. Let me just check out."
Well, to be fair, Mon Mothma didn't say that. That was just a random guy who was like, "You got anything from Aldani?" And he's like, "Why do you ask?" And he's like, "Oh, didn't you hear? There's this big thing." I was like, "I'll go look."
Yeah.
And like the guy's like, "I was joking," but he's just using it as an excuse so he can go take his mask off for a minute so he can celebrate.
That's right.
Like,
Sorry,
you
I
ever play the game
misremembered it.
Secret
Yeah.
Hitler?
No.
If you've ever played Secret Hitler and you've got like one person who you've been like you really like okay with that evening, and then suddenly you look at your card and you're like, oh shit, I'm Hitler, and then it's like, okay, fascists, you can open your eyes, and then you see the other fascist is the guy you've been with, and you're like, okay, I need to keep myself contained. No one can know I'm Hitler.
Yeah, I was
Fun game.
misremembering
Very
that
fun
scene
game.
because she's initially really annoyed at Luthen for staging this whole elaborate thing on Aldani. Yeah, and then when she gets angry and she's about to leave the shop, she goes, "I don't think I will be purchasing anything from you today." And he's just like, "Oh, well, you're welcome here anytime." And then they're back into that character. I think it was that part that I was remembering. Let's talk about Mon Mothma as well, because she is. This breaks my damn heart, because you had this series
Speaking of
where
throwing people under the bus, she fucked over her husband at the end there. It was brilliant. And I feel like her husband's been a bit of a shit this whole season.
Yeah.
But like I've been like accused by my significant other of something I didn't do, but they're never gonna believe I didn't do it.
Oh, with the in the show where they have that argument about the gambling
in the limousine, yeah, because she's trying to get the Empire to think that the missing money is from his gambling.
Yeah. But the level of writing quality and performance as well from that actress who plays Mon Mothma, I'm so glad that they stuck with that same actress from the deleted scenes from Revenge of the Sith.
Me too.
And really gave her some material, because she's the perfect casting for a younger Mon Mothma, as far as I'm concerned.
I'd love to find out that they got Jimmy Smits, and then he was like, "Well, you know who you should get."
Hmm. Hmm.
That's in a perfect world. That's what happened.
I mean, we need those deleted scenes back in Revenge of the Sith, just pure and
Oh
simple.
yeah, no, we're putting them in.
Yeah,
We still need to decide if we're keeping the Chosen One prophecy, but those deleted scenes
yeah,
are going
they're
in.
going back in. Yeah,
That those deleted scenes, the deleted scenes in Padme's house,
yeah,
and Qui-Gon cutting the droid in half.
yes, yeah, yeah.
I caught a fly.
Oh, you're Mr. Miyagi. Do it with chopsticks next time. I'll be impressed. But yeah, the level of writing quality for Mon Mothma in this series, we really were spoiled because what did we do after this? What did we follow up the Mon Mothma stuff with? We had her wonderful scene in Ahsoka where she's completely dumbed down. The writing quality just drops off a fucking cliff. And I'm like, oh, I wish she wasn't in this series and it's not a fault of the actress, but it's night and day between the material she's given and the writing quality from this series compared to the Filoni's wonderful
Oh yeah,
writing in Ahsoka.
that's pretty that's pretty hand in hand with the Star Wars EU. I listened to JEDI the other day, and the beginning of it is the main character who's in Rogue Squadron talking to somebody, and I'm just like, oh man, this guy's a fucking hard ass. What a fucking prick. And then he's just like, Wedge turned. I was like, wait a second, this was Wedge he was talking to. This is what it's like reading the EU, because you're just
Yeah.
like, this character is whatever the author needs them to be.
Mhm.
If they're in the movie, that's usually how it goes.
The moral grey stuff that we mentioned with Luthen transfers over beautifully to Mon Mothma's character as well, in that she is also at breaking point, but she's helping this cause financially through different means, but she's still got the Empire on her back as well, so she's having to cover her
Appear
own
as an
end of
irritant.
things, her family, her reputation. She's fighting losing battles in the Senate. People don't want to hear what she has to say, so she's having to aid the cause in another way. But by funneling all this money, doesn't balance the books. So you have that whole aspect coming into it. You have the arranged marriage thing as well, where we learn more about Mon Mothma's past and her culture, and that her culture marry people off at a very, very young age. There's this all pomp and
15.
circumstance, very religious, yeah. And Mon Mothma's had this life. She married at a very young age against her will. She's in a completely loveless marriage, complete like point scoring and back and forth. And between the two of them, you have her daughter as well, who's basically a total enemy with her and like her mom. And she is embracing the old ways, these traditions, these very religious ceremonies and whatnot. It's totally in a way, I think, to get back at her mom. Because she mentions, you did think at some point that it's the father's influence, that he's doing it to get back, and she's like, no, he doesn't care about any of this stuff. This is all her. She's the one who's wanting to attend all of these classes and etiquette and everything, and learning more about the culture. And yeah, she gets embroiled in this kind of dodgy guy who's going to help her balance the books, with one condition, that she well, he doesn't say betrothal. He says an initial meeting, but we know where it's going to lead to. He wants his son to marry her. And I'm like, oh, we're getting like old school Game of Thrones stuff going on now. This is, yeah. So the moral quandaries of her as a mother, and yeah, for the life of her daughter, and wanting the best life for her daughter, but also wanting the best possible future for the galaxy and overthrowing the Empire. It's so wonderfully done all the way through. I was fascinated by it. And Val as well, introducing the character of Val as her sister.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was teased before, and we didn't get it. And I didn't even notice that it was teased before. Actually, speaking of things I didn't get before, in the first episode after the Aldani heist, when we cut in and we see Mon Mothma talking about a legislation um and people getting and people's rights being infringed, and people start leaving the Senate. When I first saw that, I thought people were just not interested. I didn't realize that they were getting news about Aldani.
Mm-hmm. Wait, which part? Which part was that? Sorry, where?
When she's in the Senate, and then she's kind of trails off
Oh,
because she
yes,
sees
yeah.
people turning their pods off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just that indifference that people don't really give a shit. At this
Well,
point, what
that's
Mon
what I
Mothma have to
thought it
say,
was,
yeah.
and then I realized, oh no, they're learning about Aldani.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, so they're like, wait, this is way more interesting. we want to follow up on this.
Exactly.
Let's go over to the Empire then, real quick. There's so many great characters in this.
Under
Do we talk
being
about
the
Daedra first, or do we talk
Empire
about?
today?
Do we go with Daedra first, or we talk Cyril?
Well, you said Empire, so we're going Daedra.
Okay, we'll both.
Daedra. Daedra are the demons from Elder Scrolls.
I thought that when I was saying it, I was like, yeah, no, I'm saying her name wrong, aren't I? Daedra, sorry, yeah. Well, both of the characters, both her and Cyril, are sort of a team by the end of this, which is going to be that's probably the stuff that I'm most interested to see actually when it comes to season.
Yeah, are they gonna? You think
No,
they're gonna?
no, there
come
was a
net?
moment that no. That we need to just keep that on the stream now constantly, just in case we need to pull that.
Sit in the
picture up.
background.
Yeah. I think that if they were gonna do that, I think there was a moment where they could have done this in the final episode when he rescues her, and there's that moment where he says, "You, was it like I never said thank you, and you'll never have to." They have like that exchange,
Dun, dun, dun.
and then it pulls back to a wide shot where the two are just kind of staring at each other, and there's a bit of a pregnant pause there. That's where you would have done it, and I when I was watching, I was thinking, "Do they kiss?"
That's where you would have done it if you were going tropey. But
Yeah.
the thing is, if you're not going tropey, that's just where you start it.
I hope they don't do that. I hope it's just a sort of professional courtesy.
I don't know.
between the
He's
two.
straight up stalking her and a little obsessed. I would not put it past him, because the thing is, she is everything his mother is not, but also so much like his mother.
See, I think they bond over more of their belief in the Empire, and that they know they have this kinship that they believe they're capable
That's how
of
they're
more.
no. That's how she's different from his mother, but in like all the dismissive and like angry ways, she is so much like his mother, and he is gonna cling to that.
Oh, you think there's some kind of like Oedipus complex going on with this thing? That he's attracted to the qualities of his mother, like in her?
I wouldn't have gone so far as to say Oedipus complex, but that people men tend to find women with similarities to their mother.
Mm. See, I really hope they don't go with a romantic angle. I don't need a scene where they just randomly fuck on like one of those round tables in like the Empire thing. I don't need that scene.
What, like the ones in the big round meeting table, or
like
those
the marble
round
one, like the
kiosks?
marble one. No, that wouldn't work. That'd be really fucking uncomfortable, wouldn't it? I don't need to see like a...
we can go over this after the thing, but I think those might be better. The ones from the Emperor's throne room, and we see in the ISB.
I don't want them to just go into that kind of stuff, because it's very un-Star Warsy to me, that kind of stuff. And also it would just be
Attack of the Clones.
It's they're having this fight, this physical fight of dominance between the two, and I'm just like, I no, this is we've kind of lost the plot a little bit now. So I like that they've just got each other's backs, and that they believe that they're capable of more, and they're united through that, rather than, I don't want them to be fucking or anything like that. I absolutely love Daedra, and I keep saying I've said Daedra for so long that I want to keep saying it. So saying Daedra just sounds wrong.
Look, her name is Deborah but the B has been flipped.
Yeah. I got to talk about like Denise Goff, who plays Daedra, is outstanding in this. I love her physicality. I love the way that she conducts herself, the way she holds herself.
She looks like such a bitch.
She is in permanent sour face. She's essentially like a female Tarkin. I thought very much in this.
Well, that's a character from Legends named
oh really?
Natasi Dala.
That I've heard that name.
She was Tarkin's red-haired, much younger mistress.
Okay. But yeah, I think it's great. But I love how the character does show weakness. I was watching this and I was thinking, if this was in any other Disney thing, she'd be like this amazing, capable thing. She'd be giving everyone a dressing down, which she does a little bit. But I actually really
I noticed something for the first. I noticed something about Daedra. Finish your thing, and then I'll get to that.
But at the very end, where she's in that situation in the street and everything's exploding and all hell's breaking loose, she comes this close to death, and I think that moment really does humble her, and she's completely shaken up at the very end. She felt like
Well,
she
she
was this
has
completely
what the
unbreakable
same moment
character.
that Cyril has in episode 3.
Yes, yeah,
And that's
and
why Cyril is able to like keep a clear head, because he's like, first time.
yeah, he's come out the other side of this, and he's become stronger from it. Yeah, wonderful little
Yeah.
parallel there between the two. Yeah, so go on, what you were saying.
I noticed something with Qyburn and Dedra's first conversation, they talk about how she's in a unique position and she has big shoes to fill because of her unique position. Never occurred to me that they were talking about because she was a woman.
Yeah, she's the only woman at the table, isn't she? I think, or is there
Yeah,
anyone else?
no. I noticed that. I noticed that this season. I just realized, like, I just realized this viewing that it was because she was a woman. I thought it was because she had a trashy accent.
No, but I love that you brought that up, because that never even occurred to me. But that is really subtle. But I think you can read into that. If this was any other Disney product, they would make such a fucking big deal of that. She would get on a high horse. She would say something like that. But yeah, I mean, you picked up on that. I didn't even pick up on that, but I think you can absolutely infer that and bring that into the conversation. Definitely.
Yeah, I only ever because the Empire is
Male, predominantly male. Yeah.
it is predominantly male, and that's just that's just kind of accepted and just in the movie
Harkens back to
until
World
it's
War
not.
II and officers and everything. Like it was men that were enlisted, wasn't it? So
Well, no, I'm just honestly, I think part of it is also just like who the extras were in 1977.
well, that too. But I mean, they were based on it was based on like World War II stuff,
Oh
right?
yeah,
You
no,
look
no,
back through
I'm also
history,
going into the rebellion here.
women really didn't do battle, did they? It was men that were
Well,
enlisted for
you
this.
don't see a lot of men squeezing out babies. I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying
True.
that's why they should stay at home. I'm saying that's why they like that was the logic behind that decision. I'm not saying it was the right decision. I'm saying that's
Mhm.
why.
Well, you've mentioned in like the legends and stuff there were female officers, probably, or female officer
Well,
characters,
I
but
was getting it in Legends. They like actually made a point that like the Empire is misogynistic. Like there's like Natasi Dala is the one who made sure that women could become Moffs, and that's after the death of that's after Legacy of the Force. Like
mm.
that's after the death of Jason Solo.
See, I just took it that you look at World War One, World War Two, men were enlisted. That the Empire were based on Nazis and like a whole World War Two backdrop. I get it, it's fine. I never even questioned it. It's fine. Then when Disney come on board, it's like, oh no,
Oh,
we've got to make this a lot more balanced. So that's when you get female stormtroopers. You have the one that Kylo Ren talks to on Starkiller Base. You have characters like Captain Phasma
wait,
and whatnot. We have more
who?
of these.
Hang on,
Um,
wait. There's a
is it?
female stormtrooper in Starkiller Base?
Yes, yeah. I think it's the
When?
one.
Where?
I think it's the one where he goes, she's
Where?
just about to
When?
use, she's just testing her powers. That one he goes up to in the corridor.
The one who doesn't say anything?
No, there is a moment where he walks up to one and it's a female voice.
Oh,
Honestly, I'm not bullshitting this out
I
my
mean,
butthole. There is that scene.
there were women in the command meeting in episode 9. So,
Oh,
and
it might
also,
no, I might be misremember. I think it's when someone shoots one and you hear a woman's voice like scream when she like hits the ground as the stormtrooper. So you're
oh,
like, oh,
okay.
well, that's a female stormtrooper. I thought it
Yeah,
was
because
like
I'm
an
pretty
actual
sure
dialogue.
what you were just describing was when he goes, Solo.
Yeah, it might be that. Yeah, but you do hear like female voices. You got the female officers as well at the consoles and whatnot in
Mhm.
all the sequel trilogy. So it's a lot more balanced. So yeah, going back to this era of Star Wars, I thought, oh, they're doing a Disney thing with this, but no, like she's a perfectly written character, and that's what I want. That's what I want from all of my Star Wars. Like, can we just? Everyone keeps saying in Dave Filoni we trust or Jon Favreau. I'm like, fuck no, they're awful, they're terrible. Look at what they've done with Mando season 3. Look at all the stuff that Filoni has agreed to and signed off on. If you're going to get anyone who's proven themselves, granted it's only one series, give me Tony Gilroy, please, for the love of Christ. Like, I want so much more stuff like this. But maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing that they're wrapping this up after season 2, because if it had have gone on for 5 seasons, would it have become more compromised as it went on? Would the quality have dropped off? Would Kathleen Kennedy have had more studio notes on it? So maybe it's a good thing that he's getting out while the getting's good. And fingers crossed we get a really solid season 2. And if we get a solid season 2 and it sticks the landing and it's great, I will be buying a 4K or a Blu-ray or whatever of season 1 and season 2, because guess what? Disney can't take that away from me. We'll have 2 solid seasons that are just absolute chef's kiss, like perfect writing, incredible stuff that I can treasure and watch till my heart's content. And they can't take that away from me. They can't destroy that, damn it.
People like Highlander?
I love Highlander. I've got Highlander. I've got it right here. It's a great fucking movie.
It's kind of horrible.
The sequel is.
No. I mean, yeah, but I'm talking about the first one.
I mean, oh god, what's the dude's name? Christopher Lambert isn't the greatest actor ever. I'll grant you that. It's got a charm to it. It's got a charm to it. It's got an incredible soundtrack. The Kurgan's great.
I learned something about the behind the scenes. You know why Sean Connery is playing an Egyptian from Spain?
Go on.
In a movie called Highlander? They wanted him to play the Highlander.
That makes total sense. They probably wanted someone more bankable and upcoming and young as the lead, so they went with him. That film's got Captain Panaka. We tie it all together. It's got Captain Panaka in that film.
Yes, exactly. Batha just nailed it. Batha is Sean Connery as an Egyptian from Spain.
Yep. And it also has Clancy Brown, who's played like 4 different Star Wars characters at this point.
You're underselling it. He's played more than that.
Oh yeah, probably if we're including like all voice roles across everything. Yeah, fair point. We've got quite a lot of comments that I want. We've got quite a lot of comments I want to get to, so let's just rattle through these. We've got Tobias, who says, it's really interesting that some fans claim this, quote, isn't Star Warsy enough, when this series arguably referenced more lore, more places, and Star Wars history and politics than any other show. I mean, there's not as many member berries in there, I don't think, as something that Filoni would make, but I see what you're saying. There's one reference that I wish they would have left out, and it's because it raises the specter of the sequel trilogy for me. Can you pinpoint which planet gets name dropped?
Once?
Oh, okay. So 2 planets. Yeah, there is the Jakku name drop, and it's the bit where Mon Mothma's... No, Canto Bight. Oh, I think that might actually... Yeah, 3 then. Canto Bight also gets mentioned by Mon Mothma.
When she says when she's talking about his gambling, and she says, yeah, if you insist on gambling, go to Canto Bight where it's accepted.
And then I was just thinking of that fat multi-breasted beetle thing that's like,
wait a second. So does this mean does that line work with the Chosen One's edit, where Canto Bight is just the name of a casino on Coruscant?
I guess so. If it's like Monte Carlo kind of thing, yeah.
I mean, does Mon Mothma specifically say off planet, or does she just say go to Canto Bight?
Go to the casino. Go to the casinos on Canto Bight, I think she says. I think she does.
Well, wait. Canto Bight isn't the planet. Cantonica is the planet.
There you go. That checks out then. Bath Time says, oi, oi, just finished my own show and I've actually seen Andor. I love the meteor storm in it and that prison episode with Andy Serkis. Yeah, before I get to the rest of the comments, can we talk about that prison arc? Well, we need to talk about Aldani and we need to talk about the prison arc, but I want to talk about the prison arc first, because this was where the show originally won me over. It's like a goddamn short film in and of itself. And Tony Gilroy's actually said that about season 2, in that he says, I can't remember how many episodes it is. I think he says like we've basically produced 4 feature films with like the episode arcs, which I guess checks out, because the Aldani stuff and the prison stuff is basically a short film in and of itself. Very THX, as I think we probably discussed that when we originally did the reviews.
Yeah. It was very on purpose that they were in these white jumpsuits with I want this fly dead.
It's very
19 walls with
1960s, 1970s sci-fi. Yeah.
And also the orange stripes is clear that the rebellion
Did you get it?
Hey, no. Like I
um,
didn't even need to check my hand. I see it's still going.
this arc is just art. Like, I was just hooked for every single second. I love the scenario. I love the initial very simple setup of it. We learn their day to day. We learn their routine, and we're with these prison guards. Really nice that they gave Andy Serkis a shot, another character in Star Wars, where he actually had a character that was developed and was wonderful and had a beautiful, wonderful, and very tragic arc by the end of it. Could have been a great Snoke if they'd have actually done anything with the character beyond him just
I
being evil
actually
in a
can we
chair.
scroll back? Well, since you're on that topic, can you scroll back to Tobias's thing about Starkiller Base?
That's a bit further down. I think I missed out on a few. Where's the Starkiller Base thing?
Moth Mage, Rings of Power, two classic films being remade,
Oh,
Highlander
here
and
we go.
Kingmaker.
Here we go. Here we go. So this one, Starkiller. Is this like? Yeah.
Yes. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. You're hitting the nail on the head, Toby. Snoke is J.J. Abrams as far as The Last Jedi is concerned. Continue.
Yeah. Andy Serkis is just absolutely tremendous in this, and he's probably got he's probably my favorite character. Him and Luthen would probably be my favorite two characters in the show. I like how he's the leader of these men, how he's been given this higher rank, how he's just keeping his head down. He's getting through day to day because he's only got, like, I think he says like 200 shifts left or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love that routine that it feels like you're with them. It feels like you're on that floor with them. You're a prisoner as well. And eventually, as it develops and they learn that there's been an incident on level 2 or something like that, and you're like, oh, what's
On
oh,
program.
on program. I love this stuff. I actually just want to go back
I was
and just
wondering
watch
if
these
you would
4
actually,
episodes
if
again.
you'd instinctively just put your hands on your.
Yeah. it's and it's just such a wonderful build when they do stage this escape and they're on board and he learns that no one's getting out, and it's that light switch that the journey that his character goes on, how he's very, no, we need to play by the rules. If we play them at their own game and we just get through it, we're all getting out of here. And then when he realizes that they're not, that's when he switches, and that's when he's like, we're all dead anyway, we need to get out of here. When they have that call to arms and he's like, attack, and they're climbing, like my heart was pounding watching it, because I watched the episode today. I watched the last 3 episodes today, and I was actually getting really emotional. I messaged you and I was like, I'm getting misty-eyed and tearing up at a goddamn Star Wars show. But it's the bit where Andy Serkis takes control of the comms, and he's Andor says, you need to be the one who delivers this speech, this inspirational speech. And he starts off very hesitant and very matter of fact, and he's like, come on, you can do better than that. Yeah, he's like, come on, you can do better than that. Oh my god, the next monologue, I was so emotional watching it. It was just incredible. And the music as well, I was paying more attention to the music now, which granted doesn't sound very John Williams-y, but I was paying more attention to some of the leitmotifs, like Andor's theme that was worked all the way throughout. And it really just does build and build and build. And when they get outside, it feels like I'm going to compare it to The Hobbit now, actually. The moment in the Hobbit films where you spend so much time in Mirkwood and Bilbo breaks out above the tree line, and you have that, like when they get outside and they see the daylight. Oh, you're with them. And then
that moment is ripped right out of the book. It's honestly, that one little moment right there is kind of perfect.
Yeah. And then you have the fateful moment where he's like, I can't swim. And it is kind of going back to what you mentioned with Luthen's speech, where, what did you say, that he will, a sunrise that he'll never see.
He burns his soul for a sunrise he'll never see.
And it's just basically exactly the same as Andy Serkis's character there. Like, he knew all along that he wasn't going to get off there, but my God, he wanted to see his men, and he wanted to see as many people escape as possible. That was good enough for him. And it's such an emotional ending to his character. And I remember the theories at the time, probably myself included, when you cast a same actor in a different role in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, you wouldn't shut the fuck up about this.
Did the Empire experiment on him, and then he eventually became Snoke? And no, but it's so nice that Andy Serkis got another shot to show off his acting chops and actually be a fucking character over 4 episodes probably equates to the same runtime as Force Awakens, right? Well, how much? What
Not a
would you say
metaphor for the previous director.
What would you say the combined runtime is for Snoke actually on screen across the two
Oh,
films? It's like
over the
10
two
minutes,
films,
if that.
probably no, probably closer to 20.
If you just take
You
his
got like
scenes exclusively,
yeah. Well, I mean, are we not including like? Are we taking his scenes? Or are we taking when he is on screen?
when he is on screen,
When he is physically on screen,
I'm gonna say about
and we're not
7
counting.
to 8 minutes, if that.
No, because you've got like. Well, wait. Okay, so when it is a shot of Kylo and and
Yeah, that's
Hux
fine.
looking up.
Yeah, I'd include that. I'd include a scene that he's
Okay,
contained
in
in.
that
Yeah.
case, no, we're getting closer to 20 minutes.
I'm not talking about his dead corpse either whilst the fight rages on.
No,
Him in the
I know.
background.
Yeah, no, but you've got the whole build up to act 3 part 1. But before that, you've got the scene between him and Kylo, which is like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and then you got like a minute on the bridge with him and Hux.
Mhm.
And then you got like another like 4 or 5 minutes in Force Awakens. And I would say combined that comes to just about 20.
Mhm. Going back to the prison episode, the old timer, sort of the what's the guy's name from Shawshank Redemption? The old guy who
Hey, I'm trying to remember the actual character though. It's Skew or something.
the one who dies, he has the massive stroke in there. I did find this out, and I can't remember if we talked about this on when we originally did this stream, but I think I found out after the fact that actor is the guy from Batman '89. The two crooks at the beginning, but he's like, "Hey, Johnny Garbs got drunk and took a walk off a roof. No big loss." That guy. It's him. I was like, "Oh my god, that's great!" It's nice to see he's still getting work. There is some great like just British talent in this as well. I was noticing that there's just a lot more sort of like amateur or up and coming British actors in this. It definitely tips the scale, I think, like especially like the extras and the background characters and whatnot. Tobias says Andor was wonderfully grounded and written with real passion. God bless Tony Gilroy, you beautiful bastard. I couldn't put it better than myself, yeah. And if this is his swan song, I know that Rogue One's kind of included in that. But this is just his baby, and I really hope it's the same writers on board as well for season 2. I think there's one additional new writer for season 2. Let's hope that guy doesn't fuck it up. But yeah. Batsime says, I'd just be worried that Andor is now seen as a Star Wars centerpiece and more interference will run for it in season 2. Yeah, that's what I'm worried about as well. In that maybe they've looked at the numbers for season 1, the viewership, and thinking, we need to make a few more changes in this one. I was actually really worried the first trailer that was released for season 2, which had this very, very contemporary, completely out of place song over the top of it. And I was like, this is not right. Who put together this trailer needs to be fired. And thankfully, I think they were, because we got a second trailer out for Andor Series 2, and it was much more in keeping. The music was much more appropriate to it. I hope they've just let him make the show that he wants to make. I really do. I hope there's not too much interference in there, because yeah, I'm going to be worried if not. We know that we're going to get more of that stuff, though. We're going to get K2SO. We're going to be leading more towards Rogue One. We know we've got Krennic
That's
as well.
probably going to be. Oh, what is it though? Do you think we'll just have K2SO, or do you think we're going to see him and K2SO become him and K2SO? Because we did get that story in a comic.
They sort of teased K2SO a little bit, didn't they? The bit where he gets apprehended and arrested with
I
this.
know we'll get K2SO, but are we going to get the origin of K2SO, or is he just going to be there?
I think we'll get the origin. I think we'll get where he's like reprogrammed, and
then you're going to get a lot of people complaining about how it didn't follow the comic one for one.
Oh, if there's a comic, or well, we know that they've already thrown canon to the wayside, and it's already contradictory with their own canon that they've established at the moment. So I don't know. I mean, if that does exist, then maybe they'll stay true to that. I know that initially Tony Gilroy wasn't brought on to helm this project to begin with. It was devoted to someone else, and I think initially, like maybe the first episode or a draft of the script was written when Tony Gilroy came on board, and it had Andor
Are you
with
talking
Kate.
about Rogue One?
Oh,
No,
sorry?
never mind.
No, I'm
No,
talking
go
about
on.
Andor Series 1. And it had, right from the beginning, it had Cassian and K2 together at the very beginning, and they had this very bickering comedy relationship, and Tony Gilroy just threw all that out, and it was like, I've got my own pitch, I've got my own idea, what I want to do for this. So I think we'll get the origin, and I think we'll see that friendship flourish between the two of them. And it'd be nice to get
Carl, I
K2
hope
back.
not.
Let me
It's just going to be so expensive.
Let's just go through these. Bath Time says, I found out 2 classic films being remade today, and I'm cautiously excited. Highlander with Henry Cavill and Kevin Bacon in Tremors remake. Oh, no, not a Tremors remake. Aren't they up to like Tremors 10 now at this point? They've just been cranking the sequels out.
You got that one with Oscar Isaac and Timothy Olyphant.
Let's see.
Or not Oscar Isaac, Pedro Pascal.
Bath Time says the prison arc is a wonderful piece of writing and acting. It's, in my opinion, the best written and executed sequence since Lucas. I would agree with you. I completely agree with you there. That those 4 episodes together
might be you might have to push your timeline back a little bit, honestly. Like you might be giving Lucas too much credit there.
It's just outstanding. Here's where I have this disconnect, because do I prefer Andor to like the OT? Or even aspects of the prequels? They're very, very different animals. Like they're very much.
Yeah, it's really hard to compare. Like if you're going, all right. If you want it to have even a chance, you gotta drop Return of the Jedi and say, is it better than Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope?
Dude, I can't make that decision because, okay, as I mentioned at the beginning, I think objectively, from quality of writing, drama, tension building, the depth of the characters, and just the way that the characters talk, I think Andor has the best dialogue. I think it's hands down the best written.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But no one will be talking about Andor in 10 years' time, and maybe that's the what God, I'm so tired. Maybe that's just the state of things at the moment with Lucasfilm, in that everything's very disposable. It's just like, oh well, what's the next thing? It's like Marvel. It's just like a conveyor belt of stuff. It's like, oh, what we got next, what we got next, what we got next. So people are always going to be moving on to that next thing, and that's why well, no one's really talking about Andor Series 1 anyway since it came out. I haven't really seen many people talking about it specifically. Whereas,
I disagree. Recently, with I get my algorithm's been flooded with people talking about how great season 1 was recently.
Oh, that's good if like word of mouth's got out, yeah. But initially, when it came, yeah. So if season 2 is a massive success, then maybe it will. But I just think it'll be very disposable. I think we'll be moving on.
I think
all
these content creators were just banking on the second season.
Yeah. And A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, granted they've got more decades behind them, but they have stood the test of time, and they were a worldwide phenomenon, And I think that because it does have tropes of, the hero's journey and fantasy, it came out at the right time as well, where it was that sense of escapism. It pushed the boundaries of cinema, and even the writing. It is very memeable. It's very memorable. Even stuff from the prequels, which you could argue is bad dialogue, but it's memorable stuff. It really is, for better or worse. I guess.
Short from memory?
Yeah, I guess. No, I'm not sure. Might be
Never thought about that.
Do you know what I mean? There's a different feeling to George Lucas dialogue. It can be very flat, and it can be very matter of fact, but it tends to work for that. That's slightly wooden, theatrical. That sort of theatrical dialogue. It is memorable. We're still quoting
on a couch.
We're still quoting it now. Well, that's the direction, isn't it? But yeah, I think it's so different because this doesn't feel Star Wars. It feels like this could be any dystopian future rebellion film where we're bringing real world aspects into it about, wars and protests and whatever you want to bring into it.
Can I
But
just
with
say
this
a way
Star
that
Wars
Return of the Jedi
background,
could have been so much better?
go on.
Put Han and Lando in the Falcon.
Yeah, you needed a scene
Put
where
Chewie
they.
on the ground for give Chewie a personal reason to be there, but put them on the Falcon doing their thing together. Because the only reason character-wise that Han is on Endor is to say "I love you" to Leia.
And at that
He can
point,
say that after.
Han still got beef with Lando when we first get introduced to him. We
Yeah,
need
it's like a day ago, as far as he's concerned, he just betrayed him,
we
and they
need yeah,
never talk about it.
we needed
And
that
next,
scene.
the only conversation they have is Han giving him his ship.
Yeah. I guess we're meant to oh no, but then you have the sail barge stuff, yeah. I guess we're meant
Chewie,
to infer that
General Solo, we need to talk about your co-pilot. And it was like, I got a co-pilot, and it's like General Chewbacca or Commander. What is his rank? Hold up, hold up, hold up. We know he didn't get a medal, but let's talk. What is Chewie's rank in the rebellion? We know Luke is a commander.
is he
We
a
know Han
sergeant?
is a captain until he's a general.
I guess he's a co-captain?
I,
Maybe? I don't know.
I think that's a lieutenant commander.
The way that I've always got around the Lando thing is that I just imagine that Luke mentioned it to Han while they were on the
Yeah,
sail.
I
Like
assume that I assume a conversation must have happened
it would have been
at
nice to get
some
that
point
scene though.
because I
Yeah.
mean, well, there wasn't a conversation on between them first interacting in that movie and them getting to the pit of Carkoon because they were in custody the whole time. But then you got Luke saying, "Just stay with Chewie and Lando. I've thought of everything." And Han isn't like, Lando,
Yeah.
what the fuck happened? What have I missed?
Just going back to some of the comments now, I am going to have to wrap up, I'm afraid, in a second, guys, because I've got to be up for work in less than 7.5 hours. So I need to get myself to bed after this. But Carl says the line "I can't swim" was when I noticed social media take notice of Andor. That line was everywhere. Yeah, oh, it's such a good moment. And what's really tragic about that
Mr.
scene as
Andor?
well
Oh, swim so
is
good.
that when the when the camera pulls out, there's so many of these prison compounds right there, and the general public has no idea about it, and they're still all in there. They're not breaking out as well. This is just one of many. This could be, galaxy wide at all these different places. So, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Bath Time says it actually reminded me a lot of the prison scenes from Face Off.
Face Off.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Face. Yeah. I've
Face
seen that.
Off of all things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Certainly with that, I can't swim bit. Yeah. It's been a while since I've seen it. Yeah, he's a company man or First World One sergeant that realizes the futility of it all. It's brilliant. The execution of how the reality of their situation unfolds is done perfectly, and then the catharsis of the escape, absolute cinema. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that's what hit me today when I watched it. And I remember loving that arc when we first watched it, but I don't remember having that huge emotional release to watching it again. I think knowing where it goes maybe kind of makes it even more tragic on a second watch. But it's wonderfully done. Yeah, Brinsley says I can't swim. Oh, don't, because I am gonna have to go back and just watch those 4. I will quite happily watch those 4 episodes in isolation. My favorite episode, unquestionably, is episode 10. It's the one where they escape the prison, and just the cherry on top of that cake as well is that it's also the episode that you get the wonderful Luthen monologue at the end where he's got his plant in the ISB. And he's an interesting character as well. He mentions that he's a family man and he's built this career working as a double agent, and he's like, "It's tearing me apart, Luthen." And he's like, "Bitch, I'm going to tell you what it's like to be torn apart." And it's brilliant. It's good stuff. Can we get more Star Wars like this, please? How did this come to be? I'm glad it came to be.
I'll
but
tell
how?
you the secret. Saw Gerrera looked at the camera and said "war" really slowly.
He's great in this. I'm going to get more Saw Gerrera in the next series. I want to see how he gets the Boar Gullet. He needs to be. He needs to be like
Borgullet
blown the fuck
is
up.
the name of it.
Yeah.
It's the pet's name.
It's going to be
It's
fun
not
because
the Borgullet. It's Borgullet.
if you've got like 3-episode arcs that are going to span all these series, he's going to have like a robotic leg in the first arc, but normal arms, and then in the next one he's going to have a robotic arm, and he's just going to slow. Then he's going to have the breathing apparatus, and there's not much of me left.
Yeah, no, because at this, well, we know where he is in Andor and just after Andor because we see him in Rebels.
Yeah, we got more of his crew as well. I like that. Luthen calls him Tubes. He's the guy who sort of looks like I don't know what's he look like. I want to say Pinhead from Hellraiser, but I don't think it's that. I've seen something like that before. Is it Immortan Joe from Mad Max? I don't know.
What do you see? Wait, what does he look like?
It's like like Plo Koon. I don't know, but he's got the you know who I'm talking about, the guy with the spear.
Yeah.
He was in Rogue One, and it was really cool to see that character again. And then
he was also in some Star Wars comics where he tried to destroy a planet as revenge for Jedha.
Mm-hmm. And then I know from the trailer that we've seen and the sneak peeks from season 2, we've got that big Yeti thing, which I really liked from Rogue One as well, that we see. So it'll be they have reused the costumes and everything. So it's really cool that we're getting those side characters that, because I think I actually did buy the visual dictionary for Rogue One. It's the only one that I bought. I didn't bother with the rest of the sequel trilogy. I didn't bother with Solo, but I did buy that one. So it was cool to see all of these characters. I'm like, oh, he's like the Yeti polar bear character that you see. It's a cool design. I like it. Tobias says, can we give Bo Willimon the credit he deserves as well? His writing on the prison arc was masterful. Oh, yeah. All of the writers, the Aldani stuff as well. We haven't really talked about the Aldani stuff too, but that arc is just wonderful. I mean, the spectacle that you get at the very end. Oh God, what was the name of that young freedom fighter? And he gets crushed with the payload. Nemec, yeah, that stuff too. When he says like, oh, I know a doctor, and then it just hard cuts, and then all of a sudden they're on a planet with this really creepy Maz Kanata style forearm.
I was gonna say.
It's a little bit quick.
It's Maz Kanata's cousin who also doubles as like a TV chef.
Yes, yeah. And then Andor comes in.
Special reference there for you.
Yeah, I know. I got it. And he comes in. He's like hands up. He just puts all 4 up. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, that whole arc as well, like it's the slow build. It's just it just makes the payoff just so much more earned. And we've seen this before where people said that it made the Empire scary again. You just take one TIE fighter, which are a dime a dozen. You see them all over the place in Star Wars, just getting gunned down. Rey comes in and, one shot triple kills a bunch of TIE fighters. They're so disposable. This has one. This has one coming in. It's the sound that, it's coming in from a distance and just rages past them. And it's like, this is terrifying. They treat it like a Nazgul from Lord of the Rings. They're like quickly hide and, duck in from everything. It made the Empire scary again. It felt like an actual militaristic force. The way that they have their the way that they have their grasp, their cumnets on all of these different planets and all of these different peoples across the galaxy. You really feel that from this series.
Mm-hmm.
Bathtime says, what else has Bo Willimon done? I don't know if anyone's answered that in the comments. There isn't actually oh, hang on, let me see. There is a hyperlink. He developed the American version of the series House of Cards, serving as the showrunner of the first 4 seasons. I've heard that it does drop off a cliff eventually, that series, and I'm not sure if it's maybe it was after Bo left.
I think it's season 5.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, there you go. Is the lucky charm to it. Willimon created the drama series The First for Hulu, about the first crewed mission to Mars, and obviously is also a writer on Andor. This is what just gets me. Like, they keep announcing all these Star Wars movies. Why don't we say, like, right, we're going to hire Bo Willimon to write the next Star Wars film, and we're going to get, it doesn't have to always be Tony Gilroy, but people with a proven track record. Why do we get people like, what was episode 9? Episode 9 was J.J. Abrams, and who was that fuckwit that wrote Dawn of Justice?
The guy who wrote Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, it's just awful. Like the Transformers movies or whatever it was. It's just, why are we
Hey, did he write
hiring?
Transfivers?
Yeah, that might be right. Why are we hiring people like that? Why don't we hire like actual talent? It's not. Oh God. Oh, sorry.
No, the
Yeah.
other guy.
Tobias says, I think. Yeah, oh, yeah. Sorry, like House of Cards. Oh, Carl says, do you think we'll see Tarkin? I fucking hope not. I don't think so. I think they'd probably save that for Rogue
It'd
One.
be really expensive.
And that is like a reintroduction to his character in that, isn't it? So I think it'd be weird to get him before this point. I still wish they'd have just had him with his back to the window, and maybe you just see his face in like the reflection of the window a little bit, or even a hologram. You could get away with the effects then, I think, over a hologram.
Star Wars. I gotta be honest. Star Wars was never meant to work within the constraints of its effects. It was always meant to push those constraints. So I don't mind the fact, like Tarkin would have worked really well if he was just a guy facing the window. But they made him turn around, and they didn't do a terrible job.
I think it felt like a PS6 or PS7 graphic
If
a little bit.
if yeah, no, that's not far. That's not far off.
I think it's as good as they
I
could
get it.
have
It's
done.
like a few generations down the line.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
but
going to age fucking
I would
horribly.
just
I
say
haven't
that
gone back to that yet. Actually, I haven't gone back to it and
it's
seen what it
still
looks
not
like now.
bad. It's still okay. Um, it's of course not perfect, but if the prequels were these practical effects movies with that with real sets and real locations and everything, they probably would have come out a lot better. But the technology that they developed for those movies would not have developed as quickly,
Agreed. Yeah. No,
and we
I do.
probably would not have gotten Dead Man's Chest.
Yeah, we wouldn't have got Dead Man's Chest. We wouldn't have got probably some aspects of the Lord of the Rings as well, I imagine.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't have, because Rick Berman
Motion capture
actually,
technology and yeah.
yeah, he was like, "Oh, you're trying to do a CGI character? Well, this is what we were going for with Jar Jar. It didn't really work out, but I can talk you through it."
Honestly, I just wish that all the prequels films looked like Phantom Menace. It was shot on
I
film.
agree. They
It had
look fantastic. Phantom Menace looks
yeah.
amazing.
It's got the best integration of CGI with practical stuff. It feels a lot more lifelike. Even now, when I watch it, yeah, there are some shaky scenes. I mean, it came out in '99, but for the most part, the CGI looks fantastic. I can't remember if they went back in and touched it up. I know they did with Yoda, obviously, for like the special edition version of
Just
that.
Yoda, yeah.
But like Watto still looks great. Jar Jar looks great. It's all top notch stuff. The droids. I just wish they all looked like that. So I think it was the move to digital and then thinking, oh, we can do way more with digital now. And then it went off the deep end, I think, a little bit with Attack of the Clones and
Oh yeah,
Revenge of
no,
the Sith.
totally.
Bath Time says the difference between them, I think, is Lucas was mythology and it reverberates more with you. Yes, that's it. You've summed it up perfectly, mate. Andor's prison stuff is more technically excellent and tighter, but doesn't have the same hold on me. Yeah, I think that's where the disconnect is. And I appreciate both. And there's definitely an occasion for both. But yeah, I think that's why Lucas's stuff is more timeless. Even the prequel stuff, I'm going to say it, like even the prequel stuff, the lofty themes of like tragedy and betrayal and love across the stars and everything. Yeah, it's a little bit ham-fisted sometimes, a lot of times, but it's still there. It's still in the fabric of that story, and I think that's why it resonates maybe a little bit more
I'm
with
looking
me, and
forward
it stands
to
the
the
test of
stream
time.
we're going to be having eventually.
Yes, we can announce that at the end, definitely. Carl says the only reason I mentioned Tarkin is Gilroy has talked about recasting a character but didn't say who. Oh, that's interesting.
Wolf Yularen.
Yeah, Tarkin's kind of
Clone
the only one
Wars
who's
spreads
coming to
like
mind.
fire throughout the galaxy. As more and
Tobias
more
says
systems fall in league with the wicked Count Dooku.
meme was a term coined by Richard Dawkins in the book Selfish Gene. There you go.
But was it short for memory?
Bathsime says, "Oh my god, now I've seen they're rebooting X-Files for the telly." Oh, Ryan Coogler
Yeah, I heard
behind
about
it
that.
apparently. Oh boy, Jesus. Anything that we haven't talked about? I mean, there's probably loads that we haven't talked about. In all honesty,
No, yeah,
okay.
plenty.
I
Barely
mean,
touched on Aldani.
yeah, I feel like we're going for 2 hours, and I've got to be up in like
Yeah,
7 hours.
I'm not
It's fine.
saying we should touch on Aldani. I said we barely touched on Aldani.
Yeah, I feel like I want to more, but it's just a fantastic arc, isn't it?
I mean,
It's just.
Aldani deserves more attention because it's kind like like you know how the sister thing is Cassian's motivation, but it didn't get
Mhm,
that much attention. It just served as a motivator.
mhm.
Aldani's is the Empire's, and it got the attention.
What did you think to the main crew that he does the job with? Because I remember not really
Oh, I love
caring
those
for all
guys.
those side characters the first time, or not having loads to say on them. I really appreciated them this second time round.
Yeah, no, I really like them. I like I like how obviously full of shit Skeen is when you know he's full of shit.
Hmm. There's the ex stormtrooper, which felt very thin from, but like actually done correctly this
Skeen
time.
is
You know,
left-handed.
it's not like he was in one battle, immediately has PTSD, abandons everything that he's been trained in since birth and indoctrinated into, and then proceeds to whoop and holler as he guns down his fellow men in arms. It felt
Yeah, that
like
was
it was
weird.
like we've got this interesting concept for a character. You know, we've got a stormtrooper who defects and turns good. I'm like, okay, cool. But there is no consistency with his character at all. He doesn't act like someone that would be this, you know, grizzled,
Oh
war
no,
torn,
I wouldn't call him
indoctrinated.
inconsistent. I would say I wouldn't call him inconsistent as soon as that first scene is done. Like as soon as he is out of the First Order, he's pretty consistent, like who he is.
Dude, he's shooting at people
However,
from the hangar when they're
he
trying to escape.
no, I'm no no no. I know that's what I'm saying. Like the discrepancy happens right before that. Like his whole motivation makes is what's before that, and what's before that doesn't like that motivation doesn't line up with what he's doing, but what he's doing at that point is pretty consistent.
I'm just saying, if he was indoctrinated as a child into this,
Yeah, no, no,
into the First Order,
they used the fact that he's a former stormtrooper to turn him into a good guy, and then they did nothing else with that.
yeah, and then it's
Is basically
as soon as you put a face
now he's
behind,
just one of the good guys.
as soon as you put a face behind one of those helmets, that has to happen with every single other stormtrooper as well. The issue is J.J. Abrams said, well, stormtroopers are cannon fodder, and we want our cake and we want to eat it too. So we've got to have people shooting stormtroopers, and then it all falls
Yeah,
apart after that.
if JJ kept writing Force Awakens until he was like in his 70s or 80s, he would have really wrestled with that.
But
It
this,
really would he would have kept going back and forth and about the discrepancy between
Mhm.
having an army of cannon fodder that you can kill without any moral dilemma, and as well as having them be these indoctrinated, brainwashed victims.
but
I'm
this is done.
referencing Tolkien right now, by the way, people.
But this is done really well, and then you have that extra dynamic where it alludes to past tensions within this group because stormtroopers killed one of the members,
Steve
like
Trevor.
entire family or entire village or whatever it was. So it's this really cool dynamic. You get introduced to Val here as well, who later gets a lot more to do, obviously when she's integrated with Mon Mothma. But yeah, I really liked this crew, and I like the fact that you have the double agents within the ISB themselves when they're actually loading the payload, and that Imperial officer starts helping them, and you're like, whoa, okay. So, but then you see the seeds of it from the previous episodes
He's
where
not
he has.
ISB.
Oh no,
That's not
ISB.
what
Sorry,
ISB.
yeah, he's like the Imperial officer. Sorry, yeah. I like that older one as well, and he's like too fat for his uniform. It's like,
Oh, I love how I love the way that they're like breaking down how they're destroying the Aldani culture without doing like doing anything
yeah,
against them.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, no, we've created these rest stops where they serve local drinks. So we've been whittling them down year by year. Last year there was like less than 200, probably less than 100 this year, probably around 50, give or take.
It reminded me
And
of
then
sort
they're
of the.
gathered around that sort of Stonehenge thing, and
Mhm.
it's circular, and there's a point in the middle, and you know that's going to line up with the eye when we see it, and then we don't see the actual eye. We just see a fucking meteor shower that's beautiful.
It is very beautiful. It's the most stunning part of the whole series, I think.
It's gorgeous. I hate that I have to complain about it, but we don't see the fucking eye. The thing they keep talking about.
So fair play to those TIE fighter pilots as well. They put up a pretty good fight to fly
They
through that.
climbed.
Yeah.
Climb.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I totally missed this. The thing that Skeen is not Skeen, that Nemec is using for that, that's an
Oh.
Imperial path. That's the thing that's the same type of thing that he tried to sell to Luthen at the beginning of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
A
Yeah.
rangefinder, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's just fucking brilliant. I love that we spend time with the Imperial officer as well. Like the fat one. He's too fat for what is it? He's too fat for his armor. Go fetch the breastplate stretcher now. But we see his family. And
Breastplate stretcher.
how long do you think it'll
How
take
long
him
you
to
think he
really?
figures it out?
But I like that we spend time with his
Kneel
family
before
because.
you king your shit.
But then when they get arrested and they're hostages, and they're like, "We will kill your wife and child unless you cooperate." And that he's trying to load the payload. He's just profusely sweating because he's so
And then that
horrifically
one
out of
officer
condition.
who's definitely sleeping with his wife
Mm-hmm.
is like
Yeah.
trying to be a hero.
Mm-hmm. It's so
Was
good.
is he that kid's father, do you think?
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah. Picking up on all this subtext. Yeah, possibly.
Honestly, I would like to find out that was like taken into consideration with the casting, and we never touch on it. I want
Yeah.
that.
It's just wonderful stuff, isn't it? I mean, we haven't even talked.
It's like
Oh my
Reek
god.
in the books.
Yeah. We haven't even talked about Cyril. We haven't talked about Cyril. Let's
Oh
finish
fuck,
with
we haven't
Cyril.
talked about Cyril.
Let's talk about Cyril, then
Um,
we'll round off after that, I think.
my brother works in a bank. I've met some people. I've met Cyril. I have met Cyril.
Mhm.
These people who just take their job so fucking seriously, and they think that they are the authority.
I like where we were introduced to Cyril's character at the beginning, that yeah, he is this guy who fancies himself above his station, but he's never really got his hands dirty. He's never really been, but he is keen, he is eager, and like the guy says, like, will you be joining us on the field? Like, will you be suiting up with us? And he's like, yeah, I think that's the way it needs to be done. And he is, I was going to say, he is honorable. I mean, he works for the Empire, but he's honorable in the sense that
Well, he
these men are killed, and he's like, something needs to be done about this.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's like, oh no, this happens all the time. We don't want to make a big song and dance about it because the Empire's coming down on our necks. Like, oh, they just died, whatever. But he wants to do the right thing. These guys are a piece of shit, but he doesn't want someone
Well, he
to get
doesn't
away
know
with
that.
murder.
As far as he's concerned, two of his comrades were
Yeah.
just gunned down, and the reason it's not being investigated is because it would be too much paperwork.
Yeah, so he does the right thing there, in my opinion. Like, it's a noble thing what he's trying to do. That he doesn't.
He is the hero of his story.
Yes. Then he has that
To
moment.
be honest, like what he's doing is not dissimilar from Poe and Finn in The Last Jedi.
Dude, I haven't got the energy in me. I can't.
Like, I'm like, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, I'm not far off. He's not incorrect. Like, his logic is there, but he's making wrong. He does make some bad decisions.
I mean, this is where we
and
disagree. I
gets
think
people killed.
I think Poe's the most fucking level-headed one in that whole film. But we're not doing this. I can't right now. I'm so tired. I remember when everything goes to shit and he loses his station and he loses his job. What's the thing he does? He buries his head in the sand. He goes home. He packs a bag. He goes home and he goes back to his mom. And he's like, "Mom, I don't know what to do." And he just sits eating cereal, which was really
We
strange.
never see him eat the cereal.
I thought we do.
It's just always. Oh wait. No, we see him eat the cereal in one scene where it's like the scene where he's like talking back to his mom, and he like slurps the milk.
And then you meant so he's got this blue milk cereal that he's eating.
Yeah.
The mom's kind of weird as well. I remember when she was introduced, I thought, oh, this seems a bit out of place for Star Wars. But then you mentioned like she is the stereotypical Jewish mom.
Jewish mom.
Yeah. And when you mentioned that,
no, these are the jokes that I think that I'm picturing in my head when Poe says it's about his mother. This is the mother that I'm thinking of. Hawks, why haven't you called your mother? Do you think I'm just gonna wait around forever? You think I'm immortal? She doesn't have that accent, but you get
no,
the point.
Please, you gotta do the rest of the stream now with that voice.
Oh my god! I mean, no, fuck it. I'm saying we're 2 hours into the stream.
Yeah.
How many Jewish mothers does it take to screw in a light bulb? None, but that's fine. You go out with your friends, have fun. I'll just be here alone in the dark, waiting to die. You gotta use the whole mouth when you say die.
Yeah. Now you haven't seen the Penguin series yet, have you? But there's
I haven't.
Somewhat similar dynamic between the Penguin and his mom, in that she's wanted him to go on to greatness. She's like pushing him to be top dollar, and that's kind of what's happening with Cyril's mom in this, in that she's like, I'll call Uncle Harlow, he owes us a favor, he'll put in a word for you. And it gets him back on track, doesn't it? And yeah, you mentioned the similar paths, the intersecting paths that Dedra and Cyril go on. I like how when he initially is going down into like the battle at the beginning, Cyril, how he tries to inspire his men. And it doesn't go too well, does it? He's with that very intimidating, broad Scottish guy who's he's like, we're gonna fuck him up.
Is important, and we are the representatives of that justice, and let's go kick some ass. Yeah.
And then it's like he's finished. Well said, sir. And it's I love that stuff. And then by the end of it, I think Cyril's really going to step up in season 2. If we finish with this, if you have to pick one character that you are most intrigued about seeing how they develop and how their story progresses in season 2, I mean, I want to see all of these characters develop, but Cyril
or Dedra.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I want to say Mon Mothma because I want more Mon Mothma. I know where Cassian's story is going. I know where it begins and I know where it ends. But Dedra and Cyril, I really want to see more of.
Yeah, I agree. I think that pairing's definitely the one for me. I'm going to give the edge to Dedra because I always side with the villains, and I think that actress just plays her so well.
Both villains.
No, they are, but I don't know. Dedra just has that, like, she commands the screen. She commands the attention when she comes on. But yeah, it's just seeing those characters work more together.
Resting bitch face.
Yes, yeah. She's eating a really sour sweet, and it's good stuff.
She listened to the screams.
Would I recommend Andor season 1? Fuck yeah, I would. This is the best thing to come out of Disney. This is probably one of the shining examples of anything within Star Wars. It is very different, I think, and by design. That can also be to its detriment. I think people watching this who are hardcore Star Wars fans might watch this and think, well, it doesn't feel like Star Wars. It doesn't give me those same qualities, those same things that I come to expect from Star Wars. And some people are going to be okay with that, and some people aren't. And I can totally see both sides of the coin with that. For me, I look for quality of direction, quality of writing, characters, compelling story. And this has all of those in spades. This has some of the most compelling writing I've ever seen in any TV show in, God, probably the last 5 years, maybe even the last 10 years. This and The Penguin for me are like the top two shows that I've watched in recent memory. It's great stuff, and I really hope that Tony Gilroy and all the other writers continue the level of quality they've done with this. And I hope people are a bit more receptive, perhaps, to season 2. From word of mouth from series 1, you mentioned that you've seen a lot more people talking about it now and praising it. Hopefully, a few more people have come on board now, and we can just go for it. Beau Willimon has written the second arc in the upcoming series, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I just hope it sticks the landing. I really do. And if it does, then you will see Andor Series 1 and Series 2 in my collection, and I will be pleased to have them there. Yeah, let's do final thoughts then on Series 1 and hopes for Season 2.
If you got like a box of Kix cereal or Captain Crunch, and you get a bottle with like some blue food dye, or you get a tray with some blue food dye, and you fill it up to it's like half the depth of one of those pieces of cereal, and you dye you dye the water blue, and then you just let the water sit in for like 5 minutes, and then you drain it and you let the water dry out, leaving the dye behind. You should have a good recreation of that cereal that Cyril is eating.
Why haven't you done this yet?
Honestly, it was the last time I thought about doing this was during the Andor season 1 streams. And you know what I thought about doing the streams after that? Spice creams.
Spice cream. Oh, God. You had to end this on an Acolyte note, didn't you? I can't believe that you said Acolyte was above average Star Wars. How dare you, sir? How dare you?
I didn't say above average Star Wars. I said it was average Star Wars.
You said above average. We have that on video. Do we have that on video?
Do it? I swear I said about average. I did not say above average.
Which is why I've quoted it ever since. I will never forget.
You've always quoted it as about, dude.
Above average Star Wars. I can find the video. I will send you the clip tomorrow, my dude.
Go for it, dude, because
I will. I will find it.
I swear, my opinion has been it is about as average as Star Wars can get, because it doesn't ever try to do anything like it never hits the heights of good Clone Wars, but it also never hits the lows of Jogan Fruit Clone Wars. So yeah, about average Star Wars.
That hurts my soul. We are not going to end it with a taste of Acolyte. We are going to end it with Andor. So let us know your thoughts on Andor. What did you enjoy about Series 1, and what are your hopes and, I guess, like fears as well for Series 2? Let's hope it can be a good series. We will be back on... Right, okay. So we'll be back on Wednesday. We're going to try and get all 3 episodes watched in that day and have a stream out for you guys in the evening, probably around the same time that we stream tonight, around 10 p.m. kind of time thereabouts. We're going to shoot for this Wednesday. If it proves too much, that it's too many episodes to get in one day with our schedules and whatnot, we might...
Then we'll just push it a day.
Yeah, we might push it a day or two, whenever. We'll figure that out. But you can find us on Wednesday next week. We'll be talking about the first arc, the first 3 episodes of Andor Series 2. Please do consider subscribing to the channel for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. Of course, if you're enjoying the Star Wars stuff, we will be back over the course of the next month, I guess, or just over, for Andor Series 2. But also, there is a certain anniversary for a certain Star Wars movie coming up in a month or so.
Yes.
Do you want to talk more about
that? Well, I mean, next month, Revenge of the Sith the anniversary is resulting in a new theatrical release. I don't think there's anything special about this edition. Oh, it's on my screen. The Fly is on my screen.
I think Hayden Christensen's recorded a little bit of a video intro, which is going to play before the film. I've seen that circulating around, I think. But yeah, so I did actually see all the Star Wars films last year. Nice. I did actually see all the Star Wars films last year. They put all of them back on at the cinema again, and I watched the prequels, and I watched the original trilogy, and I pieced out after that. So I have seen Revenge of the Sith last year, and I was really kind of
special. This is because of that.
We are. So there will be actually 2 Revenge of the Sith videos on the channel. I mean, I've already recorded a review last year with Dale, but Carl actually recommended this to me just as we were about to hit end stream. I think I did just hit end stream actually on my old one. His comment came in very last minute and was like, "I've got tickets booked for 4DX." And I was like, I didn't even know 4DX was a thing. I've never been to a 4DX. I don't really know what it
I've
entails.
wanted to do 4DX movie for a bit.
And I didn't know that they were putting Revenge of the Sith on in 4DX. So I did have a ticket booked for it at my local Odeon. I wasn't going to, but I thought, oh, it's the 20th anniversary. Why not? I'll watch it again. I cancelled my ticket and I thought, I'm gonna go for where Carl's headed. I'm gonna do the 4DX experience. I've never done it before.
I'm jealous. The closest 4DX theater is in Connecticut, which, if you don't know where I live, it's a little bit of a hike.
Yeah, they ain't just down the road from you, is it? That. So yeah, Battle of Coruscant, Battle of Coruscant 4DX experience. It's going to be fun. But then after that, me and you will be doing a Revenge of the Sith video when it is actually the date of the 20th anniversary, which I believe is going to be Monday, the 19th of May. I still have time. What will we be
talking about on that in that stream, Chris?
We were actually talking about a number of things that we can do. We were talking. Well, we've talked about the film before, and our opinions won't really have changed on it. We could talk the books, the huge volume of books. There's video games. Like, what do we do? And eventually we settled on the idea, and you kind of brought this to my attention as well, the novelization for Revenge of the Sith, which is, as far as I'm aware, is based on the original work print of the film, like the 4-hour cut.
Like the script. The novelizations, you can tell, always start with the script, because there are little bits of descriptive detail where I'm like, are you just reading the stage direction to me right now?
Mm-hmm.
Or not stage direction, but
Yeah, it's based on an earlier draft of the film that was much more complete. There's certain moments where the book goes into a lot more detail on certain things, and maybe fleshes out some of those.
Like to be Anakin Skywalker forever.
And maybe some of those moments that feel particularly rushed in the final film that we have maybe get fleshed out a little bit more. I haven't read it.
I didn't realize until I got to that part of the book. I don't want to go into too many details, but they treated them learning where Grievous is, like he's hiding on the Utapau system, as a moment. They're like, oh, that's fantastic. We now know where the leader of the droid army is. It's so offhanded in the book. In the movie, they're just like, oh, Anakin, we found General Grievous. He's on the Utapau system. You want to watch this opera with me?
So what we're going to do is we're going to do a kind of side-by-side comparison. We're going to do the book versus the film, if you will. We'll probably be going through the film and the book beat for beat, offering comparisons of the things that we prefer in the novelization, things that get developed more, things that we maybe prefer in the film, and hopefully come up with some kind of side-by-side comparison video between the book versus the film. So in a way, we are still talking about the film, but I think this comes at it at a different angle, and it gives me an excuse to actually dip into the novelization for the first time. I went through the Plagueis book, and I absolutely loved it, and I've been looking for some new Star Wars novelization book material to sink my teeth into.
You're gonna love some stuff that Palpatine says to Anakin, because you're gonna be like, oh, they stole that for the Plagueis book.
So we hope you can all join us for that. So you've got a couple of weeks to get the novelization read or re-listened to or whatever you do. So that's going to be probably the 19th of May. We're going to shoot for that. That's going to be the Monday. I might have to move something around, actually, because that's going to fall on the day of my Don Bluth retrospective. So I might have to change that day, but that's fine. We can talk some Revenge of the Sith, and hopefully we can see as many of you there as possible. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that's joined the stream tonight and commented along. Let us know what you think of Andor, and just sharing all of your Star Wars stories with us. It's just absolutely great. So hopefully we can see you all week to week, every Wednesday, hopefully, 10 p.m. And you get to hear us talk about Andor. And hopefully we can see most of you there as well. We'll round off the stream. Before we do, JX, where can people find you? What have you got going on?
It's like that's you.
Oh, it is. How narcissistic of me. Sorry, there we go. There we go.
You can find me at youtube.com/JXEditor. I recently released something really good for watching before Revenge of the Sith because I cut the Clone Wars into a movie to watch before Revenge of the Sith, and not Clone Wars. I'm talking about the Clone Wars, not Clone Wars.
Yeah, you've taken certain arcs from the TV series, cut it down into a cohesive movie to be that middle chapter that we never really
11
got to see.
episodes, 2.5 hours.
Yeah. So head over there, give him a subscribe if you haven't done so already. He's got some great stuff coming out. I know some of the stuff that he hasn't unveiled yet, which I can't wait for you all to see. Some good shit, some good stuff coming out.
I gotta talk to Andrew about the voice acting for that, because we've heard him do a better job than what I've been doing.
Well, I can't wait until you finally get to share that with someone, because I think that's going to blow up. I think that's going to be your masterpiece.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Good night, everyone. See you next time.